Hi, this is David Oman with HouseAtTheEndOfTheDrive.com. You're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Duquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
This is Corbin, and you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM.
We told you weeknights on The Fringe FM are now even better. And we mean it.
Do it live!
Where else can you hear the best shows and the best talent? Kick off your evening with our newest host, Alex Exum, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Hang out with me, Joe Roop, on Lighting the Void at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. Ryan Gable expands your mind on the secret teachings at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. We're bringing the heat every single night. Fire it up, The Fringe FM.
Hi, Jeremy Scott here from Into the Paranormal, and I'm back live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on The Fringe FM. Live for 3 hours every Saturday night. It's a show that engages the mind, makes you think, and maybe even challenge what you think you know. Hi, I'm Jeremy Scott of Into the Paranormal, where we talk about topics that are anything but mainstream, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal. Bring an open mind and join us for Into the Paranormal, live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Fringe FM.
This is Paranormal News. I'm John Jeter. Shooting at an asteroid with a bullet. What could go wrong with that? Well, it's already been done. Japan's Hayabusa spacecraft touched down on the asteroid Ryugu on the morning of February 22nd. It fired a bullet at the surface and collected its first sample of the 3,168-foot in diameter space rock. 2 more shots are scheduled in the coming weeks. After collecting data from Ryugu, Hayabusa 2 is scheduled to depart the asteroid this December and return to Earth by the end of 2020. Final preparations are underway to launch 2 NASA astronauts and a Russian cosmonaut to the International Space Station next month.
3, 2, 1.
Engine turbo pump at flight speed. Engine at maximum thrust. Lift off.
And there is liftoff of the Soyuz MS-10 to the International Space Station.
This is the first launch since Nick Hague and Alexei Ovchinin had to eject from the capsule on board a Soyuz rocket that they were strapped into last October and abort the mission.
There has been an issue with the booster.
The 2, along with Christina Koch, are scheduled to launch from Kazakhstan on March 14th. The crew will spend 6 months on the International Space Station. During the mission, they'll get to experience the arrival of test flights from SpaceX and Boeing. Read these stories and more at ParanormalRadio.com. I'm John Jeter, and this is Paranormal News.
message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS drift.
Contact, nice to be in orbit.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Good evening. I'm Joe Roop, and this is Lighting the Void. It is Wednesday night here in the natural state as the moon is beautiful and crescent in the sky, and it's wane here on February the 27th on into the 28th. We are live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, the Fringe FM. Our network site is thefringe.fm. Our website is lightingthevoid.com. Please give us a follow if you like this show on social media. Just search Lighting the Void on Google. Thank you all for joining us wherever you're listening from, whether it's TalkStream Live, the Fringe FM app, Paranormal Radio app, iTunes Radio. God, I can go on and on. Alexa, Winamp, all of you people that are listening across the World Wide Web, thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the mystery knock, and this is something that the Reverend Dan Lopez and I have brought up, but there's an actual esoteric story to this that I want to explore with Dan, and then there's actually things that are happening in my life as well as his with these knocks. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to welcome Dan back. It's going to really good to have him here. Thank you guys so much for all of your support and donations. Because of what's been going on with the family and the passing of my grandmother, I didn't get the newsletter out and stuff. And to be perfectly honest with you, I really thought about taking a few days off so I can get everything together and get everything together on the station. But when Dan hit me up today, I was like, no way, man, we're going on the air. Got to. And so, yeah, I owe a lot of probably the rest of this week is going to be pretty cool because of this. Now, if you want to support the show, and I know you guys have been, there's been a lot of people using the Amazon portal. That's great. There's been a lot of people buying t-shirts. That's awesome too. And just don't forget there's a donate button there as well. But some of you guys, you're sending me emails talking about, I want to support and I can't. Listen, I hate to say this over and over again, but you don't have to. Like, if you don't have the money, just listen and then share it. And that's plenty of support. But thank all of you for whatever support you give us. Thank you so much. And I want, like, here's some of the reviews that I get through messengers and like Twitter and stuff that kind of, I guess it brightened up my day a little bit. So some of this stuff I can't say, like from Tara in New Zealand, like, this is the best effing show ever with a heart, and sent me a message. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is cheering me up. And then there's some emails. I can't go through all of them, but it says, for the last few months, I've been a regular listener. I've managed to navigate through the trash that has been put out there over the years, and I have discerned the only people I will regularly listen to now are your good self and Gordon White. And I will also give Ryan Gable a listen based on your show. I appreciate your genuine, open, and honest nature, and that is why I'm drawn to your show. And this was Lynn from Manchester, UK. And she said, thank you for offering your time and energy. Another email, which I can't believe somebody even compared me to Gordon White, because I was always like, because of my redneck accent, I was always thinking, well, there's no way people are going to take me seriously as that guy, but somebody does, so I appreciate you. Let's see, what else? Okay, so I've been listening to your show archives on Google Play for the past year, and I wanted to thank you for doing all you do. You are a wonderful host, and you've helped open my eyes to the world I always knew existed but was afraid due to my own conditioning to explore. Since I started listening to LTV, I have begun in earnest my own studies into magic and the occult. I'm still pretty new to it all, but I'm working my way through it. I've been going through Frater Xavier's YouTube channel, who I found via your show, and I love your recurring guests like Mary Ducina, also Amalia and Satya, very insightful, and others that she couldn't remember at the moment. And she's, I think this is a guy actually. He talks about how he's been going through astrology and studying everything. He just wanted to say thanks, keep up the great work, fighting the good fight to help shine the light. And then he put Sparrow there. So thank you, Sparrow. And here's one last shout out to a few of the new followers here on social media. I do this a little bit, like once every 2 months. So here you go. So Johnny, and some of these names can't be real. So I know you guys are using fake last names and stuff. Hey, check this out. Johnny Rocket Punch. Nice. Okay. Timmy Matters, David Senses, Grant Stamps, Josh Savan, Barney Sissel, Susan Mortensen, Lavinia Kerdani, Lisa Ann Howard, Denise Sheparis, Sue Walker from the Ponte, thank you so much, William David, Sarah Bowman, Sean Miller, Mark Bryant, Abby Smith, Lenny Wiggins, Ronnie Renee from the Ghostbuster Gals sends us her love, Tyler Cos, Julia Eve, Burton Biargi, I hope I'm not saying your name wrong, Ryan McLaughlin, Sean Michael, Next NEXT, my brother, Lon Miley Duquette, Chad Cook, Ken Fisher, Stacy Elkins, Amos Moses, Jenny Goff, Leslie Faulkner, Brett Luter, another brother, and Williams Marie. So yeah, tonight I wanted to talk about the knocks, and these knocks I specifically heard the day my grandmother died, but I've heard them throughout my life, and I find it funny that they're also in scripture. And the cool thing is it just so happens that the Reverend Dan Lopez is back with us, which, brother, I got to tell you, from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, we've all missed you so much. So thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit, man. You know, you really, we all know that you got a condition with your heart, man. And when you went into the hospital, it kind of, I mean, like, you're one of my best friends, so that stuff scares me. And I didn't know what to do other than just say, hey, man, how are you? How are you? But it's good to be back, and I'm glad you're out of there. It's good for you to be back, I mean.
I finally felt like it was a moment that I could actually breathe long enough to put a few sentences together at a time. So, yeah, this is definitely a plus. I appreciate it. I was just like, you know, I seen the note that you had put out there the other day about Family Matters, and I was like, oh boy. I was like, well, look, if you need a sidecar banter, you know, let me know. I'm back for a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, because I would love to have a motorcycle with a sidecar in it and put you in the sidecar. That would be pretty cool, actually. You know, but no, yeah, I do need somebody to keep me in check. I know we got quite a few listeners now, but when we started the show, we didn't. And every night when you get behind this microphone, you don't really realize that there's just how many people are listening. You feel like you're talking to yourself. So it takes a lot of practice to be able to do that, and not, you know, when you communicate, you always get something back. So that's why I always like to have people on, or have people like you on, and make you a part of the show. I mean, if I had my own selfish way, brother, I'd have you right here in the studio, but that's just me, though. But
I think you come at it from a pretty good place, and a place that a lot of people can relate to, because you pretty much keep an open mind. You come from a place where you stay yourself. You're not, you know, you're not an expert in any of these fields, and more than anything, you're always asking the questions because you want to know. You know, and that's pretty much where a lot of people come in, is that, you know, they're curious too. They have questions, and sometimes they don't know how to formulate them. But hopefully during the episode, they'll actually hear their question being asked or answered or whatever. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, right. And even going through some of those emails I was wanting to give thanks for, I get a lot of emails where people want to, and I'm sure you had this too when you did Spiritual Warrior Today regularly. You know, I get a lot of emails from people that they want to contact me on a personal level and have some type of back and forth dialogue. And I would love to do that if it was just one or two people, but after a while you can't, you know? You know, don't know how to respond and say, look, basically what I say is like, look, between running the show, the radio station, and my family and producing and all this other stuff, I don't have time to have these back and forths with you guys, but I'll try to respond the best way I can, you know.
Right. You have to marshal your energies, otherwise it'll just get away from you. And it gets away from you real quick anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to touch on this knocking thing that we had and that we've been talking about. We've talked about this quite a few times. And let me tell you guys, if you've never heard what happens, because some of you, I want to relate this to the mystery schools, but some of you know that there's 99 biblical verses that talk about knocking and the door will be open to you, but it's also in the actual rituals of the mystery schools. At the beginning, they'll have 3 knocks or whatever before they let the initiate in. But all this stuff is just exoteric symbolism. The real mystery behind this stuff, I wonder about, because you were the first person I listened to on your radio show that talked about someone knocking on the door as you were asleep. And it happened the day my grandmother died. This is crazy, right? So the day she died, I was out here in the studio, and there's a couch right in front of the, where the basic L-shaped studio is. Then there's the couch, and I sleep on it sometimes and nap and meditate and stuff. And I was laying there, and then it was just that really loud bang, 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 like somebody's trying to get into the studio. It's not in a dream. You can tell it's not in a dream. Or maybe it was, I don't know. But it made me jump up, run to the door again, and open the door and look around and go, okay, nobody's here. And I don't live in a neighborhood where somebody could run away and hide. There's nowhere to hide when you open the door. I did it fast enough to where I would have saw whoever it was. And so I would say, like, this is maybe the 5th or 6th time it's happened. And before you respond, just real quick, Dan, I really think that there's these different levels of consciousness, like Robert Monroe talks about, but there's this little place between sleep and awake, that little place that seems more real than real is where it happens, if that makes any sense.
That's where it happens for me the most. I mean, and then it's at that place, it seems like it's more amplified than anything else. Like, say, if you were to actually hear the knock in person, it wouldn't sound anything like it does when it's in that hypnagogic state, because it will shake your body.
Right.
It'll literally shake your body. But once I guess once your awareness comes full out of the hypnagogic state, then it's almost like a hint of that was there, or else it would not be there at all, compared to like at the exact moment of when it freaking occurs.
So I don't know what this is. And if somebody knows what this is, I would really, really like to know. I mean, I've had other people tell me that it's happened to them. Even your story, like if you go back and listen to the Spiritual Warrior Today archives, you talked about how you would hear these knocks as well. Oh man, I'll never forget the first time I was listening to that too. It freaked me out because it was the first time I listened to your stories, and I would lay in bed, and my favorite thing to do is lay in bed in the dark and listen to talk radio, like paranormal talk radio, before I go to sleep. And so I was listening to it, and then you got into the story about how you would hear these knocks. But this last time that it happened, and this was a while back, I don't know if it happened since then, but the door actually opened, right? And so
pissed you off.
Dude, when you said that, I jumped up and turned the lights on. Like I had to turn a lamp on because it really started freaking me out. Tell us a little bit about that again, if you don't mind. Maybe it'll help us find out or get closer to what this is.
I don't know. Okay, so basically, there was a time there where things were just getting a little crazy in life, so things were had always been a little bit emotional and everything like that, because struggling with money and raising a kid and everything like that, and And so just trying to make it, you know, from, you know, day to day. So it had started to occur all by its own at that point, you know, where there was a heightened sense of emotion. So the knocking was fairly far away. I mean, I'm like 30 feet away from the front door, and that's where I would usually hear it. And it would just be the same damn thing, bang, 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 1, 2, 3. And then, you know, my eye would open. Like, okay, are they going to knock again? What's the story? Is there really somebody there? You know, and sometimes it would actually sound like it was so loud that, you know, I just had to get up and run to the door to see what was going on. Now I'm crazy. I'm out here in the freaking woods, you know, there's in a gated community and everything like that. Anything coming to the door at that, you know, with that kind of vehemence, you know, would be like, you know, aggressive, you know, to the point where I'm locked. How do you call that? I'm armed and ready.
Right. Locked and loaded.
Oh yeah. So I'm in my skivvies. I'm at the door with my freaking, you know, socks on and freaking and the handheld. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready. This 45 will do what it has to do, and that's it. And it felt stupid after a while because I just kept getting up and running over to the door, you know. And I'm like, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. So then after a while, I'm sitting there, and I'm not new to paranormal, you know, the stuff, events or anything like that. So I started trying to discern whether it was happening in my head, because I had understood, if not known about the term head explosions, but I knew, you know, that things happen at that hypnagogic state. So I was paying attention to see whether, you know, if I could feel like the house was actually reverberating, you know, or if it was just my body was reverberating, you know, because you get those synapse fire-offs in your head and you actually feel like it's actually like an atom bomb going on.
Yeah, exploding head syndrome. It's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's just synapse misfiring and stuff like that most of the time. But this was a combination of the both, which was pissing me off because I had pretty much cleaned the house, you know, of all craziness that was going on, and from some events that had happened earlier that I had shared on this show, and so I couldn't fathom why it was happening and in the manner it was happening, because it was almost happening like an everyday event. You know, it wasn't like, you know, every couple of days, you know, or every third day or whatever. There was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just every day. And up I was at. So then all of a sudden, it came inside.
Like the door opened?
The door to my bedroom was getting knocked on. And I didn't know how to cope. I really didn't. I thought I was losing my, you know what. So I'm sitting there, I'm going, this is not happening. This is not happening. So about the third time in, I'm like, okay, we're going to just chill. Everything's going to be okay. And then, you know, no problems. But sure enough, it knocked again, and the freaking door actually opened. The door opened from the vibrations of the knock. And that was when it scared the hell out of me. I'll be honest with you. For some reason, you know, it was like, it felt like a calling, and it felt like it wasn't right at the same time, because nothing was supposed to come through the door, because I had enough banishing stuff all over the place and whatever, and cleaned the house and stuff like that. And this was not supposed to come inside, let alone open my door.
Now,
it opened my door.
Was that back when you were doing like regular radio shows?
Yeah. This is 2012. This is just about, I'd say it was about 6 months before I was about to sign off, because things were getting a little crazy with the ticker. Yeah, that was nuts.
See, that makes me think about stuff. You know, when I get these emails, man, where people talk about they're studying magic and the occult and going into the mysteries, here's the thing. Like, it's never been my intention to do this show and to try to entice people to do these things. It was always my intention to look at these things and say, hey, maybe there's something here that, you know, it's not as evil as we think it is, or it's not as sinister as we think it is, because the real system of control doesn't want us to know our own power, right? That's been my whole message, right? But then when things like this happen, it does make me wonder, you know, when we start tapping into these things, if maybe, are we getting in over our head? Are we really ready to mess with this, right? You know what I'm saying? And when you get your radio show, I loved your show, man, because I could listen to you tell stories all forever if you wanted to. But it seemed like the deeper you got into this journey, things started happening. At least it seems like that for me. So I'm constantly having to do more stuff for protection and things like that. Yes. And I don't know if it's, if I'm doing it to myself or what, you know.
It's a constant act of protection, and it's a constant for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but for myself, it was a constant work for protection against whatever was going on, because I understand that there is a war going on. I understand that there's a lot of misguided energy going on. I know for me, okay, I won't speak, like I said, I won't speak for anybody else, but I know that it's there, and I know it's been going on for the longest time, you know, and people either choose to accept it or they choose to, you know, deny it and whatever. That's your life, you know, that's your thing, you know. But for me, it seemed like the harder and the more deeper that I went, the more Earth was pushing back. I wouldn't say Earth, but like the rulers of this planet, the rulers of this, you know, day and age, just seemed to keep pushing back. And I found this out a long time ago when I was getting clean. I was like, you know, I went from the rehab all the way to New York, and when I got into New York and I was hanging out there for a little bit, I was like, you know what? If you just hang out here and you don't maintain your practices. Because I was working a heavy program to stay like as honest as I possibly can with not only myself, but with everybody else, because it didn't pay to do otherwise. You know, it seemed like the more that I did that, the more that the world wanted to beat you down. Yeah. You know, it's like the complete opposite of what you thought you were trying to do the right thing, you know, and it seemed like the more that you do the right thing, the more challenge you were up against. At least it was for me, and I can only speak for myself, you know, and I built up a bunch of neuroses for it. But,
so do you think that there's an actual correlation between, like, when you study like we can start with the Bible, for example, when it talks about, you know, all of the mysteries will be revealed, but then there's 99 verses that talk about, you know, seeking and finding, and a lot of them have to do with knocking, and it'll be open to you. Like, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him and he with me. Or Matthew 7:7 says, you know, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and it will be open to you. Right. Well,
the thing is that with that, it's not an instant thing. It's a gradual.
You think?
For me, that I have found that it is a gradual. Yeah, because here's, for me, like I said, coming back and working on my faith is not something that you just, boom, you have faith. It is something that has to be nurtured. It has to be nurtured. It has to be, given time. Because I didn't have faith right away. Wasn't confident right away. I didn't know myself, as I know myself now. I wasn't as honest as with myself as I am with myself now. It was a lot of battles with my unhealthy ego, that my unhealthy ego would be telling me, don't be telling people that. Right. You don't want people knowing your faults. You don't want people knowing, that you're wacko or whatever, and to me, it was just like, well, I know these things, but if nobody else knows them, then they don't really know me.
Well, yeah, we got to take a break here. Even when I study the messaging,
fast.
Well, the Masonic text, the Rosicrucian stuff, and even some magical orders in the beginnings of their initiate, they always have that system of 3 knocks. Like there's a knock at the door or 3, and most of the time it's 3 knocks. So I find it funny, like we see that stuff in there, but then we also see, like in my life and your life, where we've actually got spirits, whatever you want to call them, beating on our doors, and in Dan's case, actually opening his door. Just makes me wonder about it, that's all. But we'll be right back with the Reverend Dan Lopez. Stay with us.
Portion of the show is being brought to you by the Three Stooges Zen Meditation Center, the only New Age workshop in the area that shows you the way to true inner peace through bad haircuts and capricious physical violence. That's the Three Stooges Zen Meditation Center. Remember our mantra, nyuk, nyuk, nyuk.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
The truth is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTLK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Do you ever wonder why there's so much show in politics? Do you ever wonder why America's not getting fixed? Ever wonder why our media is not reporting the news? They report only their biased opinion. Are you tired of feeling like a controlled rat? Do you wonder what's next? If you're looking for answers, join me, Ronnie McMullen, for my new show, Deep Waters Radio. That's Deep Waters Radio. Monday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific, right here on The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
When I'm done running with the wolves after hunting down a half-ton bison, I look forward to a mind-teetering escapade evening on The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
This is Cortana from Shift Happens, telling you to pour a glass and park your ass because you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Shithead.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied. But you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. And purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with You fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Howdy, this is Catalina, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're here with the Reverend Dan Lopez, the Spiritual Warrior Today Radio, and we were talking about the mystery schools. Knock, and it will be opened unto you. What does that mean? Not only what does that mean, like, it's really happening. It's happening, like real knocks. Here's something I want to, before we get back into the subject, I really want to push, okay? The stuff that we talk about on the show is just information. Yeah, I've let my personal story out about magic and Rosicrucian magic and stuff like that. Some of the things that I've experienced and some of the things that I've been through. But there are so many different doors and pathways into the mysteries. And I'll be honest with you, at the very top of all of these schools, I don't know if there's not something sinister there. It's just in my experience, it hasn't been. Okay? Just in my experience. And that's my whole story. So, if you guys are jumping into practicing magic and the occult or whatever for the sake of what we talk about on this show, I've just given you one of these disclaimers, like, do this at your own discretion, because I don't want to be responsible for whatever happens to you when you start tapping into this stuff, because I've personally seen what happens to people that aren't, like, even psychologically ready for these things. And some of you are being smart about it too. It's just a warning. That's all. I mean, and Dan was even saying during the break, it doesn't have to be magic or the occult. It can be just spirituality or self-help in general. Sometimes people have breakdowns and things don't really go right for them. In your experience, anyways, I'm rambling again, Dan, but,
that's okay.
I just think that from the experiences I've had, I know what I'm dreaming, okay? I know what I'm dreaming, but I know that there's this place between sleep and awake that Bob Monroe calls Locale 1, that some people have called the etherical realms or whatever, which everything is really vivid. I mean, you will not know that you're not in a dream, period. There's no way. There's no fuzzy, nothing. It's just realer than real. And you can fly in this place, by the way, but I think this is also the place where those knocks were happening to me and to you. And so I feel like that there is this veil that is interfaced there, if that makes any sense. Like, if there's a place for that realm to interface with this realm, that's where it is. And it's very thin and very delicate.
Layers of consciousness.
Right. Does that, in your experience, does that kind of make any sense?
A lot of sense. Because there's, how does the saying go? In my Father's house, there are many mansions, and I go there to prepare a place for you.
Right.
So basically, and I use it loosely. I don't get me wrong and think that I'm a thumper or anything like that. I'm not. I just studied because it was what Edgar Cayce did. I got infatuated with Edgar Cayce, and he was saying, "Yeah, you got to read it once a year," and everything like that. And I tried, and I got it through it once, and I was like, "Wow, that's a mean book." It's like, that's a very painful book to read.
Yeah, once a year for sure.
So I was, but I go over the passages, or I used to heavily. And so they're just stuck in there. And and a lot of things make sense because they're all mysticism. They're all passages passed down, and it's just the way my relationship is with it, to see what parts of it actually adhere to the parts that are happening in my life. They were like things that happened for me. Things that happened for me was like, I'll make an instance. when I was growing up, I had a fairly ditzy mother and a psychopathic pop. So in one of the passages, and I grew up reading like those golden book, things, where there was a gold binding and stuff like that, and they had Bible stories and everything like that. So I was big time. I loved the stories. But there was one passage that I had said there was a father who went out there and he talked to his sons. He had 2 sons, and he said to them, you just go out there and do what I tell you to do. And he said to one son to do one thing, and the son turned around and he said, I'm not doing nothing. And then he thought about it a little bit later on, and he wound up doing what he was asked to do. And then there was the other son who was just like, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever you say, no problem. And then he would go out and he wouldn't do it. And I wound up being the former of the two. Because, I always thought, I was like, well, I'll give you hell, but I'll do it. I'll do what I was asked to do. And it worked out for me in that regard. In that regard, because I'm a believer in karma, dude. And I was like, what comes around goes around. You either stand up for your word, because that's all you got, really, between life and death and death and taxes. All you got is your word. And if there's anything that you can control in your life, it's you.
That's it. Yeah.
It's you, your behavior, it's your actions and your reactions. But and you can't be responsible for anybody else, but you can be responsible for yourself. So if I give you my word, then I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to make that happen. And I make sure that there's nobody else involved that's going to screw that up. Because if I lay it down that I'm going to be able to do something, then I do it. And it's not a big deal.
Or you do everything in your power to do it.
Everything in my power to do it, Right.
Well, that is a very rare thing, actually. Believe it or not. It is so rare. I don't know why.
It helped. I mean, let's put it this way. There have been more times in my life where I have needed from others, and I don't think that I would have been able to get from one point to the other without the help of others, or that help would be available had I not done as much as I could for others. That's just me. I can only say for myself, that's how it's worked out for me.
Do you think that, like, when that comes to the story you're telling, here's what I'm afraid of, okay? And this is something I've always been afraid of when it comes to the mysteries and stuff, like, and there's verses that kind of back this. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying I believe totally in every single Bible verse. I just think there's some type of majestic thing behind it. But when you open the doors to true knowledge or mystical knowledge or esoteric knowledge, sometimes there'll be these times in your life where you want to turn around and go back. And I don't think you can. You can't. It's like you can go back to your faith, but I don't think you can ever go back to shutting that door because now you know. And if now you know, like, say, for instance, if you understand the principle of cause and effect, you really become responsible for what you do and how it affects others. You know what I mean? So all these mystery teachings and people they want all of this knowledge, but then when they get it, it's too much responsibility. So it's easier to blame it on a sinister something else than to know that it's all about you. It's all about you and your choices.
It's true. For me, I found that I totally agree with you. There has been a point several times where I've hit, how you say, epiphanies, you know what I mean? Or holy crap moments, where it's like, and there is no going back. Exactly like you said, there is no going back because now you know. Yeah, I completely agree with you, and and then you wonder how come, you talk to other people and you get that blank stare, you get the glazed eye look over, and you're like, why am I not getting through?
Right.
They're just not there. They're just not at that point. I mean, it doesn't make a bad person, doesn't, you know, still love them, but they're just not there.
If you guys happen to hear that AM radio sound, that's because, we've got AM wires here. Well, in Dan's studio, by the way, but it's
sorry, folks.
No, it's cool. And I listen to it on the monitor and it sounds like AM radio kind of, but it comes and goes, so just, I don't care. Just tolerate it. I think it's cool though. But I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm afraid that I've opened something. I don't even want to say this on the air, but I guess I will. Sometimes I'm afraid I've opened a door that I shouldn't have. Right?
Well, you wouldn't have if you shouldn't have.
Well, then
it's just that simple. If you were meant to do it, then you're going to do it regardless. You might even do it by accident. But if it's meant to be done, it's going to happen.
Like, say, for instance, Ouija boards. You go around and you listen to all these shows where people are doing Ouija boards and stuff. And I heard some of the last ones that were done, and they were just, some of them are hard to believe, to be honest with you. But
sure,
why is that really a tool that everybody should be messing with? Honestly,
do you believe in mediumship?
I mean, I do if the right person is doing it.
Do you believe in communicating with other spirits?
Sure.
Do you believe in communicating with God?
Sure.
Do you believe in communicating with the Holy Spirit?
Well, yeah, it's the same thing to me.
There you go.
Uh-huh.
It's just a tool. For the most part, it's just a tool. It's a completely inert freaking thing. The bottom line is you're the real tool. You're the real tool.
Yeah, but
you
know
have
as well
the
as I
real
do.
gift.
Some of the stuff that these Ouija boards have said ain't exactly nice. Like, some of it's been pretty mean.
Well, do you think everything is supposed to be okay?
Well, I don't think something from the other realm, like, say, when I was my son's age, I remember my friends playing with Ouija boards, and they would put their hands on it, and it would spell out something like, well, I'm going to murder you, or something like that. And I'm thinking, why in the hell are you guys messing with this thing?
Right.
It's freaking, it's freaking the kids out. They shouldn't, and I was a kid back then. And if they don't know what they're doing, why are they messing with it? It's kind of like, if you don't know what you're
it's
doing.
not like they're plugging into the angelic realm.
Right, exactly. And so that is that's like a well-known tool. That's not even really tapping into the mystery schools. You can buy a Ouija board at Walmart, for God's sake, right?
This is so funny that you mentioned that. You want to talk about going off into a tangent. How about Ryan Gable's did you listen to that show this afternoon?
No.
They were talking about the new thing, the new old thing that came around and is back again, called Momo. So Momo is back.
No
so I
way.
listened to about 25 minutes of the show, and I got the drift. I got the understanding of what was going on. And so basically, for those who don't know, Momo is it's like the Slender Man. It was like, created on, whatever from stories and blah, 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 blah. And so what happens is that there was enough energy behind it to create a tulpa. And so this thing is actually out and about. And so the same thing with this Momo thing. And so there was just a couple of 12-year-olds that they just threatened several dozen kids in their class to kill them, eat their flesh, and then commit suicide afterwards.
Yeah.
So that they could meet Momo or Satan, whatever, face to face. Recently.
What the hell, man?
So it's the same thing. I mean, like you were saying, as far as like opening up sessions and opening up yourself to other consciousnesses and stuff like that. It's the same thing. And so when you say that, you might have opened up stuff that you didn't mean to open up or whatever, there's ways of closing them. They're just do what you got to do and close the damn thing up. Keep your side of the street clean, like I always say.
I got to be honest with you about this whole thing, man. It's not really me that I'm worried about. It's not, because I know how to handle this. at least up to the point where I am. It's the emails I'm getting from people, man. Like, I don't want anything. I've already had one bad thing happen to a friend of mine.
Right.
And literally, like, seriously bad. And I don't know if they blame me for it or not, but, you know, they don't
can't help that either.
They don't talk to me anymore. And
I wouldn't.
And, you know, they ended up almost being committed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they were there for a minute, weren't they?
Yeah, for a little bit. Right, yeah. And whatever this thing was that was messing with her was using my name. Like, it was... She was yelling to the doctor she could hear my voice in her head telling her to do things. And it wasn't me, you know?
Yeah, but Joe, the processes were already there. If she was already curious enough to go into these areas, then that was her own thing. She would have went there with or without you. You know what I mean? And it would have used somebody else's name. You know, or would have used, you know, it might have used somebody in her family. You know, and then where would these people be? They wouldn't be blaming you because they'd all be looking at each other.
Blamed me. That's for damn sure. You know, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, and you know, as far as I knew, she was just practice Reiki. You know, that's it. So, and
that's opening up yourself to energy. That's energetic work, and so that's just as much as astral projection or anything else. It's just another realm. It's just another consciousness level.
Right. So
but you're still out there.
When you see these verses in the Bible about the heavenly secrets that were opened up to you and all this stuff, and that was forbidden, does it make you think that it's like it's forbidden for a reason? Kind of like the reason why you don't let the kids into the gun safe, you know? If that makes any sense. I don't want to degrade humans because people think I'm degrading humans. Like, well, we're not ready or we're not smart enough to handle it, or it's not that. It's just.
Well, yes, in a way it is. Okay. So if people can't freaking understand that they're not mature enough to freaking handle certain situations and certain aspects and certain processes of the psyche, well then, no, I'm sorry. You're not mature enough. Okay. Get over yourself. Sorry to hurt your ego. But that's the way it is. And until you've actually put some work in and actually done some freaking self-evaluation so you know who you are, you know, then you have a better chance. You have a better chance of navigating these realms. Otherwise, you're just fodder, man. You're fodder for beings that have been around for much longer than your little 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old brain.
Yeah, I just don't want people to be like moths to a flame, you know. And I know that some of these mysteries are protected. You ever wonder why the Catholic Church doesn't like Masons? You know, they always speak out about Freemasons and stuff. But yet, you know, the Pope carries out a rite when they knock 3 times with a golden hammer. It used to be a Masonic hammer, but they changed that, obviously. But it used to be. But they carry out a rite when he knocks 3 times with a golden hammer on the holy door or holy gate of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. And several other basilicas also have these holy doors. But it's to commemorate this occasion. It shows the people on one side of the door and the Lord on the other side of the door. That's what they're telling people. But I don't think that that's what it is. I think everybody has a time when they're ready to be opened up to the mysteries. And then I guess what I'm trying to say is they need to be responsible and very careful about what they do, because people just want to plunge right into this stuff. And I'm even thinking astral travel, it's not something to plunge right into. Maybe it is. I don't know, but I just want people to be careful. And I know I'm not responsible for them, like you say, but at the same time, they're listening, Dan, you know. So what do you do?
I put a disclaimer at the bottom of my webpage and say for entertainment purposes only.
Okay. Well, I've already got that down there. So that's good.
I mean, I'm serious. I mean, that was the only way I could actually go in there and say, because I was told I'm going to be sharing information that's going to be messing with people's heads, because people are going to be getting deep into themselves. Because I used to go into stories and stuff like that where you actually literally took inventory of yourself, which you actually, step by step, you asked yourself questions. Is it worth it? Does it really mean anything? Is this real? And so you have to go in there and you got to go digging deep into yourself, into your own psyche and into your own ego. And you got to go boldly. You can't just go in there and say, oh, this is going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Anything worthwhile hurts, so, you got to be up for the challenge. And if you're not up to question yourself and you're not up to, if you're not up to facing yourself, then you're not ready. You're not ready.
Yeah, and I would say, too, like when you go into the mysteries, when you're open to the mysteries or whatever, if you go into this thing, even you could still be full of ego and make it a very, very long way, right? Like, I know like Crowley did. Sure. It seemed like the more he tapped into, he studied everything from Buddhism to Western mysteries. He tapped into a lot of things. He did some crazy experiments where he even opened up the circle when he shouldn't, just to see what happened, just to try to figure out what was going on. But in the end, I mean, you could see how he met his demise, which wasn't very pretty, but he did open the doors to a lot of things. But what else did he open the doors to? In Paranoia magazine, they just released an article which kind of rehashes the story of how Crowley tapped into this ayahuasca spirit and spoke to aliens and opened up a portal into this dimension, which sounds kind of wacky, but after you've had that 3 knock experience a few times, you know that there's a veil there that's pretty thin. Like it's probably not as thick as we think it is.
Or it's as thick as we make it.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I used to relate this to was there was a story about Samuel, I believe it was, and he was staying over somebody's house, and God supposedly called his name 3 times.
Yeah.
Or called his name.
Yeah, I remember the story.
The third time, and he went over to, I think his name was Elijah or Elisha or something, and he asked him, and he says, "What's going on? I heard my name 3 times already." And Elisha was like, "Go back to bed, man." Go back to bed and say, "Here I am, Lord," or "Here am I, Lord," and see what happens. And that began his relationship with his God. And that was one of the things that I was doing. It was like when the knocks were coming and they got inside, I was like, "Well, you're here. What the hell do you want? I'm here. You want to have some coffee? Let's have some coffee."
Yeah. 'Cause
I need me some coffee after that.
Yeah. The magicians, by the way, I had someone contact me that's from the dark side, so to speak. And I don't know I guess maybe they're a black magician or whatever. I'm not sure. And they wanted to come on the show and speak their piece, about what they know. And I'm be honest with you, I'm kind of interested in it. I don't know. We might do it. But the main thing here tonight is that I really believe that this doorway, this veil is real. It's not just an esoteric knock that you see in Masonic rituals. There's actually something there, and that we need to recognize it, be responsible about it, and just kind of be careful. But we'll be right back with the Reverend Dan Lopez. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. Stay with us.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Styrofoam Anvils. Are you bothered by anvils that are so heavy it's hard to carry them around in your pocket or purse? Then you should try Ed's Styrofoam Anvils. Sure, they'll disintegrate if you hit them with a hammer. That's why we also sell Ed's Styrofoam Sledgehammers. Ed's Styrofoam Anvils and Ed's Styrofoam Sledgehammers from Ed's House of Styrofoam Tools. And remember our motto, if we're so dumb, then how come we're still in business?
Hey folks, guess what the number one phrase that Life Change Tea receives by email? You ready? We love this tea. We love this tea. Time after time, week after week, we love this tea. Life Change Tea gives you more energy, a beautiful cleansing, and fulfills its slogan perfectly. The tea that makes you go. So if you want to be on your health game, log on to getthetea.com and order Life Change Super Strength Tea. Packages come in a 1-month supply, and when you brew this stuff, wait until you see the results. Aren't we all about the results? And with a lot of people's health struggling, we can use a little bit of help. Doctors will tell you disease starts in the gut. So log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Be our next email saying, I love this tea. I love this tea. Get the tea at getthetea.com. Helping America one tea bag at a time.
Magic, the occult, history, health, news. These are just a few subjects discussed on my radio broadcast, The Secret Teachings. I offer unique and objective perspectives on new and old subjects alike, while welcoming guests and presenting my own research with no filter. Visit my website for more information and to subscribe to my archive at www.thesecretteachings.info. And find me on The Fringe FM live Monday through Friday, midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM.
Hi, this is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on The Fringe FM.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find us on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWERSAVE to get 10% off your first box. And as a special bonus, we will include our #1 rated appetite suppressant spray free with your order. Whatever your diet plans are, start with us at faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWERSAVE.
We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, the Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm, call the station at 501-777-5631, or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
Yohoy there, Gigi here.
And I'm Cortana, and we're going to bring you on a journey through all things paranormal, metaphysical, ufology, and even psychedelic on our show,
Shift Happens, live, Fridays at 7 p.m. Pacific, that's 10 p.m. Eastern, on The Fringe FM.
And remember, kids, Don't feed the archons. Feed ducks instead.
Duck up.
Well, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're here with the Reverend Dan Lopez. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you're listening from. Don't forget, we are here Monday through Thursday night, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. Starting after next week, Ronnie's show that'll be his last hurrah, his last show of Deep Waters for the first hour on Monday nights. And so I think that is the 4th is his last show. So starting March 11th, the 3-hour show will be back on Monday nights here on Lighting the Void. So Monday through Thursday night. And then we're still trying to work out the Friday night thing. So the idea, right, is we want to do a 5-night-a-week show here at this spot before the Secret Teachings comes on, because he does a 5-night-a-week show. But I use that time to catch up with things on the station. So until we kind of get things caught up, then we'll be there. But eventually, yes, we'll be on 5 nights a week, all for you. The Reverend Dan Lopez from Spiritual Warrior Today Radio is here with us, and we are talking about the 3 knocks, how it relates to the mystery schools. We've talked about the verses, the scriptures about the knocks, and then we've talked about the literal knocks we've had and the interface between both of these realms. I think it's thin, and I'm a little worried. And when I say worried, I'm not worried about me so much as I see all these people just jumping into this stuff and doing these things. And it comes from an experience I had with a friend of mine who was actually, most people are going to say, well, you're not responsible for what people do. True, but you can influence people by what you say and talk about. The one thing I learned in car sales, when I worked in car sales, is everything's a sale. And most of the time when people are talking, there's always an agenda behind it. And so you're either selling or being sold. And I'm not trying to sell dark magic here to people or anything like that. What I am trying to do is to get you to realize that some of these things that you have been taught are sinister and evil might not be, and to take a deeper look at it, because it actually could be holding you back from your own power. And Dan, the reason why I even get into that is because of the victim mentality, which you and I have discussed. I've discussed this with Ryan. There's a lot of talk going on around about how, whether it's, I'm going to piss some people off, but reptilians, archons, cabals, and all of these things that are running the world, and we're just slaves and sheep and victims to it all. But there's this other narrative that's going on the whole time telling you that these mystery schools are bad and don't touch them and they're evil and stuff. And when you look into these things, not only will you learn how the powers that be, whatever they are using things like NLP and symbolism, and dark psychology and all kinds of stuff on you, so you can become aware of it, but you can also kind of use these things to spiritually enhance and influence your life. That doesn't mean that I want you to run out and cut the head off a chicken and draw a circle and start invoking some demon from Mars. For the love of God, like, if that's what you want to do, do it. And I think I'm done with that. I've made that point now, right? So from here on out, and I'm saying this for my own sake and for the Reverend Dan Lopez, so he gets tired of hearing it too. From here on out, whatever you do is on you. Okay? Don't blame it on Joe. No more questions.
Don't blame it on Joe.
Yeah. I have gotten a lot less emails about protection, though. God, I was getting those so much, Dan. It seemed like every other week I was getting 10 to 20 emails about, will you show me how to protect myself, protection? All I could do is just say, here's this book. It's the same books we've been talking about. Read them, and then do it that way. Or use prayer. Just don't think about it. Try not to focus on it. They get too damn worried that they're under attack all the time,
Yeah, well, I think there's been a little bit less, or a lot less promulgation of information regarding things like possession and stuff like that. There's not much coming out in the realm of movies, as that's concerned either, because that's a big push. And then in the alternative media, there hasn't been a lot of stories in that regard either. As far as like in the paranormal fields, it's all been like regular day-to-day, stuff. Nothing crazy, because it goes in waves, And you'll see, you'll get more emails asking you for protection when the information starts coming out. People start talking about all kinds of craziness that's out there, and they start getting paranoid.
Well, the Catholic Church has been on the rise when it comes to exorcisms, right? But
yeah, I heard that. That was even that, Joe. Didn't you find that was a story that came out and then went down? It was like 3 weeks ago that story came out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
yeah,
it was just like whoosh, gone.
Yeah, but they're calling everything everything is possession. If you're in a bad mood, if you feel negative, if you're depressed, if you're low of energy, like there's a demon for everything. This is something I grew up with, man. Pokemon's a demon. Eating too much is a demon. This is a demon, and that's a demon. And they stopped calling it choice, right? Well, the reason why you're depressed is because you're not getting enough sunlight, laughter, and exercise. No, it's a demon. Okay, let's call it the anti-sunlight, laughter, and exercise demon. Let's just have something to blame it on. And when you get to studying real demons, I hate to even say this, but most of them don't want to be bothered, like if you actually invoke a demon or something, they're like, what the hell are you doing? Why the hell did you invoke me? They're not real happy that you called them out.
Right.
So an actual,
at all.
Yeah, right. They're kind of pissed off about it. So, people that, I'm not saying there's not demons that don't, get inside people and do bad things. Obviously the Catholic Church would know all about that, but isn't it funny that, they're the ones that have always had problems with really bad things, especially when it comes to children and stuff,
Well, that's what they said a long time ago. I don't know how many decades ago, but there was quite a few decades ago, one of the popes had actually came out personally and said that the devil had taken roost in the basement of the Vatican.
Oh, really?
I
missed that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was, if you can Google it. Yeah, it was about 40 years ago, 30 years ago.
Did you ever get to watch the first, like the Exorcist movie when it came out into theaters? Did you ever get to see that?
I went in the theaters. I was 9 years old.
How the hell did you get in when you were 9?
And if anything, I was in Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
Of all places, I was in Puerto Rico. I was there visiting my grandparents for about 3-4 months. The whole summer vacation thing, and I call it the comedic thing. The comedic part of it was that right after we watched the Exorcist, which I watched with my hands over my face, looking through my fingers behind the seats. There was a Chinese karate kung fu movie after that called, and I'll never forget the name of it, Triple Irons. And it took all of that shit.
Triple Irons?
It took all of that. It took all of that craziness. And because we watched that one too. It was a double header. It was funny.
Well, I was watching a video the other day about how mostly women were passing out or leaving the theater during that movie. And,
it's a bad movie. It's not a good movie.
Even people were going back like, I tried to come back and watch it. And then I couldn't do it. And I'm like, well, look at these crazy people. They're going back and watching The Exorcist again for the third time, trying to make it through the movie. And in theaters, they just couldn't do it. They would run out of the theater crying or freaking out. Some girl passed out and threw up. I was like, damn.
I was going through all of that, but I know my friend had brought it. He bought it and he had surround sound. And so he had one of those big screens and we were going to watch it in surround sound. And so we got about halfway through it and I was like, I can't sit through this.
It freaked you out that bad too?
It was the sound. The whole house was reverberating and I was like, I felt like I wanted to vomit. For sure.
It didn't seem that scary to me.
Okay, I'm done. It wasn't so much that it was scary. It was just that it had such an effect upon me from the first time that I had saw it that I was like, dude, this stuff is real. Period. End of story.
So do you think that I should get like a black magician on the show? Just your opinion.
I have to ponder that. There are, because there are things you have to be mindful of, what's their agenda, what's their real agenda, because you can get looped. You think you're going to be putting them on so they could say their own piece,
right?
And how, they are what they are. And then all of a sudden they can go sideways real fast. And you're looking at a bad show, and it's one of those. You got to really, I would interrogate this guy, or qualify this guy, big time before I even thought about it.
Yeah,
because it's your show, it's your show. You're not putting it on there for them to take it over, and that's what most of these people want to do. They want to go out there and then they want to make a spectacle of you, and then they just make your show tainted.
Then I'll have a tainted show.
You'll have a tainted show, Joe.
Well, I remember back in the day listening to Bell when he had him on, and they made such good points. It was almost freaky. You remember when he had the Satanic Church people on, and they were talking about, it was more like an Anton LaVey type stuff that didn't really sound evil at all. It sounded beautiful.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? And
I don't think I remember listening to that one, but okay.
It freaked people out. In other words, it was kind of scary to me to hear that kind of...
Why? Because they were doing the whole Luciferian angel of light freaking thing.
Right. But more like this person is, I think, is more of an understanding of demons and demonology, and has had experience with actual demons and stuff, and is not really afraid of them like we are. But then again, like you said,
I'm not afraid of them. I just think there should be a healthy respect there, like electricity.
Anybody that's been shocked knows all about that, right? Yeah. Whoops. We shouldn't have done that. I'll ponder it. And usually I do talk to people, like if I don't know who they are, I'll talk to them beforehand, because I don't have somebody to produce or call them or anything like that to screen them. Right. One of these days, I'd like to think 10 or 15 years down the road that I'll have that. I'll have somebody that's an actual producer that helps me with the show and lays it all out nice and pretty for me, so I don't have to do anything besides read. One can hope, right? One can only dream.
One can dream. In the meantime.
Yeah, in the meantime, this is what we're dealing with. You got me, baby. You got the Rev. I wonder as, you're going through this stuff with your health and these conditions and things, and this is just my own, I guess, morbid curiosity. What are you thinking about during these times? Like, because
in regard to what?
Well, when you go through, like, you have a heart condition and you're in the hospital and they're just trying to get you back to where you can breathe again. And you know that if something goes wrong, yeah, sure, you could pass away. They've been telling you that. They told you that a long time ago. But
well, I had gone through the degradation there for a couple of years and navigating, it's kind of hard to explain. I mean, you'd really have to be there. I mean, if you've ever choked to death, you wouldn't know otherwise. So if you got to navigate, that feeling over and over and over again. I mean, it gets so played out after a while. It really does. I mean, it's just like, I don't know whether to stay or go. I know I'd like to stay, but after a while, it's like, I get kind of tired of this stuff, So, but when I got it and I pulled and I've admitted myself, and they put me right, they went right from ER right into a room. They were like, yeah. They're like, you're bad. We get it. It's okay. So, it was It was emotional. It was emotional because I knew. So I have congestive heart failure. So for those who don't know, I have congestive heart failure. I have an over-enlarged heart, and so I'm only running on one valve because the other three valves, the heart is too big for the other valves to close. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of the heart not being strong enough to take care of all the vitals. So and I'm at a risk at any time it can just go kaput, and so I got to live with that, right? And it's I don't know what to think after a while.
You've been living with that for a while, though, now, right?
For years. For years now.
You know, that makes me think about Art Bell's when he passed away. He got COPD and stuff, and he passed away.
Yeah, that's not good. And that's air restriction and everything like that. That's the same thing. That choking, you're choking. He's he pretty much died of asphyxiation. Sucks.
Yeah, you know how everybody's got their theories about, some people say suicide and some people say it was this or that. But
COPD is real. That's not funny.
Yeah, I think, and a lot of people have asked, well, when they wanted you to come back on the show, like night after night, I didn't really want to tell them what was going on, but there's some nights you just can't do it. You just can't come on.
No, there was no breath. I was too busy going.
Yeah.
And that was the extent of the whole night. And who wants to listen to that all night?
Not to mention,
even in the heat of.
Yeah, nobody wants to listen to you suffocate, Dan. Jeez, No, I'm just playing, brother. And believe me,
makes for bad radio.
No. I know what it's like. Maybe like once in my life, I had this. What is that called?
Well, you said you were having a panic disorder.
No, it wasn't that. Like I felt like I couldn't breathe in, but I was just breathing too much. This was acid reflux type, but it was called something else. Where when you slept, it would come up, and it's really gross, but it would come up and clog your windpipe, right?
That's acid reflux.
Yeah. So one night, I met my friends.
Apnea, if they want to call it apnea, but apnea is usually when you stop breathing. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'm at my friend's house one night, and I'm, I guess I'm in a full-fledged dream or whatever, and I wake up from inhaling acid into my lungs, right? And when you do that, it totally blocks, like if you do it enough, it totally blocks the airway. It's kind of gross, but I woke up, jumped up, and all I could do was go, I was making this weird noise, like kind of crazy noise, and nobody woke up, beating on the walls because I couldn't breathe, like literally freaking out. And every time I sucked in air, it wouldn't go into my lungs. It went into my stomach. So my stomach was expanding. It wasn't going into my lungs, man, And I'm like, I'm going to die here. And nothing else matters when you can't breathe. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else matters. And I think I sat there and made that noise trying to gasp air for, I want to say, a good 3 to 4 minutes. Like I was on the verge of blacking out from it,
It feels forever. Feels like it was forever.
Yeah. And when it was all over, I called the doctor. I said, look, we got to talk, man. And, and he just kind of laughed. He's like, yeah, nothing else matters when you can't breathe. I'm like, yeah, right. No, it doesn't. So how do I make sure this doesn't happen again? He was like, well, it was a whole stress and diet thing I had to change. So there's certain things I don't eat at night and certain things I don't let stress me out anymore. But it was insane, man. I know the terror of it. Believe me, it was so freaky. I don't want anybody to go through that.
That's the size of it.
Yeah, I don't want anybody to go through that.
The size of it.
But I just wanted to kind of explain people why, sometimes you weren't here when, like, I've had listeners like Elle and other people ask about you, and it's, they're not pushing like when you get Dan on the radio, but I'm pretty sure now that they understand why you're not here all the time, But we love you, man. I'm glad you're back.
I'm here for a time, as long as this keeps up and as long as it keeps staying in a positive direction, I'll be around.
Do you think
too early to say about anything? Really? Well, it's way too early to say about anything. Right now, I can only walk about 2 minutes, period, before I start feeling it. So, I mean, PT's in and they take care of me 2 or 3 times a week and stuff like that. So we're moving slowly. We're moving slowly.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I mean, and I'm not, it's not like I'm overexerted and wheezing and all of that, and, and everything like that. It's just as soon as your body starts giving you signals, it's like, okay, take a break.
Yeah, this I got an email today about some of the stuff we've been talking about how the military, the government. I've always wondered just how deep the military and the government and everybody knows about the astral realm, right? Not remote viewing, but astral realm and astral travel. And it seems like the more I dig into this, the more that I think Robert Monroe was right, is that, it's one thing to say that they're influencing us through symbolism and NLP and all of this other stuff that everybody's worried about, subliminal messages, colors and symbols. But it's a whole nother thing to think that they're actually doing projects where they're going out of body and manipulating us in the astral realm, which sounds kind of crazy. But I really, really think that stuff's going on, man. I'm not talking about remote viewing. I mean, it's different, right? Remote viewing and travel, it is.
Oh yeah. They're like cousins, you could say. The differences between them. There's more similarities between them than there are differences between astral travel and astral projection and stuff like that, and or remote viewing for that matter. But as far as them being able to influence people, they're being able to do it on a higher level and in more efficient manners than they've ever been able to do. And you don't have to believe it, and you can actually sit there and say whatever. But it's been going on over the airwaves, over the radio, and it's on the internet now. And it's just a matter of being aware of what you put into your life. You know what I'm saying? Being aware of what you take in, what you read, what you listen to, what you view, what you enjoy. All of these things. If you want to pay attention and keep your sanity and keep yourself in a positive, grounded, centered, position state for as long as you can. You just try to be mindful. I'm not saying that you got to cut down and be all goody or whatever. Don't be goody. Matter of fact, be kind of bad, but but be mindful of the things that you put into your head, because those are the things that you're going to rely on when the shit hits the fan. Excuse my French. But when you start thinking about not such great things, those are the things that are going to wind up filling your head. So if you're pretty much looking at a more positive even more constructive space, how to be in control, how to empower yourself, how to recognize when you're off. You know what I mean? Are the things that you're really worried about, do they really matter? Are they going to matter 10 years from now? Are they going to matter tomorrow? So, things like that. I mean, like I said, one of the things that was pissing me off lately is, I don't know if you've been watching Instagram or Facebook or anything like that on the videos.
Dude. Yeah, I did a whole show on that Monday night.
Have you seen the videos that have been coming out? You can't tell me that there's more hurtful stuff. Like, okay, there's slapstick. There's slapstick, and then there's people getting freaking hurt. Yeah. And that shit's not funny. I mean, I'm sorry. That's like the third time I said that already. but it's not funny no more. You know what I mean? I mean, people are actually getting hurt. I mean, it's one thing to get face planted in the snow, but if you get face planted in the concrete, that's not cool. You know, I mean, and it's bombarded. You're getting bombarded with them, and you think you're just, you know, taking in a harmless little 10-minute video or whatever, you know, but it's not. You're being bombarded with stuff that's desensitizing your humanity.
Yeah, are you talking about like just the spoof it, like fail videos where they're out there hurting each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I wanted to. Shoot, we got to take our we're at the halfway point of the show.
It's moving fast, Joe.
Yeah, it is. But I wanted to talk to you about why you were so. And I've brought this up, and we really didn't dig into it, but I want to now that I have the chance. Why you were so involved with Edgar Cayce, you know, the Christianity aspect of that, Edgar Cayce and the occult and stuff. So all of the stuff that you learned from him. But yeah, we're at the halfway point. We do have to take a break, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. If you want to, you guys can sign up to the newsletter to put your name and email in there. I hopefully will have that out by this weekend once all this stuff blows over with the family. But I really appreciate you guys' patience. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
The Fringe FM.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, me old China plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Lighting the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussels, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's Vegetation Therapy Center. In these hectic times, plants are suffering from more stress-related illnesses than ever. So if you've got a neurotic rhododendron, an hysterical hibiscus, or a forlorn fern, call Ed's Vegetable Therapy Center today. Ed's. We help plants cope.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Your home has needs. It needs a healthy, dry environment all year round. Start by getting rid of the worst air in the basement and crawl space, where the problems begin and make the whole house sick. Introducing the new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. It has advanced technologies to continuously reduce moisture, mold, and odors, and expel radon, gases, and pollutants. And now, Wave units include carbon monoxide detection to automatically expel air at a high rate and send you an alert. It also has an app so you can remotely monitor the conditions. Wave is a comprehensive, maintenance-free, affordable solution that will transform your entire home. Protect your home and family with what it needs. Give it a new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. For more information, call 888-717-WAVE. That's 888-717-WAVE. Or go to dryhealthyhome.com. That's dryhealthyhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home. to Lighting the Void Radio.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM.
This is Paranormal News. I'm John Jeter. Shooting at an asteroid with a bullet. What could go wrong with that? Well, it's already been done. Japan's Hayabusa spacecraft touched down on the asteroid Ryugu on the morning of February 22nd. It fired a bullet at the surface and collected its first sample of the 3,168-foot in diameter space rock. 2 more shots are scheduled in the coming weeks. After collecting data from Ryugu, Hayabusa 2 is scheduled to depart the asteroid this December and return to Earth by the end of 2020. Final preparations are underway to launch 2 NASA astronauts and a Russian cosmonaut to the International Space Station next month.
3, 2, 1.
Engine turbo pump at flight speed. Engines at maximum thrust. Lift off.
And there is liftoff of the Soyuz MS-10 to the International Space Station.
This is the first launch since Nick Hague and Alexei Ovchinin had to eject from the capsule on board a Soyuz rocket that they were strapped into last October and abort the mission.
There has been an issue with the booster.
The 2, along with Christina Koch, are scheduled to launch from Kazakhstan on March 14th. The crew will spend 6 months on the International Space Station. During the mission, they'll get to experience the arrival of test flights from SpaceX and Boeing. Read these stories and more at ParanormalRadio.com. I'm John Jeter, and this is Paranormal News.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. We're here tonight with a very special guest and friend of mine, the Reverend Dan Lopez. Thank you guys for joining us. Most of us have already moved into the 28th. You know, for one of the shortest months, or not the shortest month of the year, this sumbitch sure has taken a long time to get over with. I'm ready for the equinox. I don't know about you, Dan, but I'm ready. 20 days, 21 hours, and 20 minutes and 10 seconds until the equinox, the March equinox. We only got a few more weeks left of this stupid weather. Yep. People are getting blasted right now.
I know. We're going down to the single digits this week.
You are.
Not looking forward to it. Yep.
Yeah, they don't. All winter always does that to you. Just like right when you think it's over, it's about to be over. It comes with the worst storm ever, and it sucks. I'm ready for it to be over. But I think, we only got a few more weeks left. Everybody can go back out and play. It's going to get dark later again. It's going to be the way things should be. So I wanted to talk to you about the Edgar Cayce stuff, right? So this is, I got into Edgar Cayce a long time ago. It was when I started diving into the mystery schools, and when I was still. So for anybody that doesn't know who Edgar Cayce is, so if you're really a Christian, but you still want to learn about the mystery schools, but you don't want to walk away from your faith, which, by the way, you never have to do. That's an illusion, I think. You never have to walk away from your faith if you don't want to.
Nope.
The Edgar Cayce material is probably perfect for you, and he talks about everything, man. Everything we've talked about, he talks about. And when it comes to remote viewing, I would say the only times that I've even come close to being successful with this stuff is doing his practices. But I'm just curious, what got you interested into the Edgar Cayce teachings?
It had gotten to the point where being clean, going to meetings, and having only so many guidelines along the higher power, the questions of God, and turning your will and your life over. And once you got past those, I had more questions. So I was asking questions to the people who were around longer than I was, and And I didn't find anybody had any more answers, so I wound up looking out, and I just came across Edgar Cayce, and his information, and I was hooked. I was like, huh, what?
Was it there as a river?
I wasn't big into psychics or anything like that at the time, but I was like, this guy had helped so many people back in the day that it was hard to refute the information, because if somebody helps so many people for so long, he's got to be doing something right. So I was like, all right, well, let's see what he has to say.
When he started talking about angels and Jesus and stuff in a different way that I was used to, I always knew that there were secrets about Jesus's life that didn't get talked about. I mean, it's obvious, sure, right? There's what, 30 something, almost 30 years of his life missing, and you don't really know what's
13.
Yeah, 13. Sorry, you don't really know what's going on, and there's 4 books that all kind of say the same stuff. And you open a few Gnostic Gospels, and it's like a completely different story. And you're thinking, okay, man, somebody mucked this story up. As far as the guy being real and, dying and resurrecting, and that
it still left you in a little bit of a shadow there, wondering, right?
Yeah. I mean, our whole timeline's based on the birth and death of Jesus. Our history is based on it, and it could be like one of the greatest things that got mucked up. It just seems like it really got mucked up. I believe the man existed. I just don't think his name was Jesus, although I could be wrong. But I think that there's a real, like, the biggest mystery of all of this lies within that story still. After I've studied all the books and magical books, grimoires, everything I've studied, I still think that mystery is one of the biggest mysteries. And the Rosicrucians, they have the story about Christian Rosenkreuz and the Rose Cross, and it's all analogy, and it kind of fills those gaps. But if you go at it from an Edgar Cayce point of view, that's just something I don't get. Like, I don't get the guy, to be honest with you. I mean, I know he's...
What do you mean? You don't get Cayce, or you don't get the story of Jesus?
I don't get... And so, like, he says that Jesus reincarnated... and you need to please correct me if I'm wrong here, but it reincarnated into several different people, right? And just kept coming back. Or am I right about that? Like, he said it was Joseph of Arimathea.
30 times.
Yeah. And so he just kept coming back. And it makes sense, but then it doesn't go along with kind of some of the Gnostic stories. So, man, this stuff is all scatterlywomped when it comes to me. So it's like, okay, so I guess I've got to choose one of these. But when it comes to doing the practices, the stuff that God talks about, it works, So I'm just kind of curious. I'm just kind of curious about why you stick with Edgar Cayce more than anybody, especially when it comes to the story of Jesus.
Because I don't hold it as rote.
You don't hold it as what?
As rote.
As rote.
Right.
Oh, okay, I got you. So you don't hold it as the literal version.
Exactly.
Do you think that he actually reincarnated into different people?
I think it's quite possible.
Damn it. I was hoping for a solid yes or no there.
I can't give you that. I wasn't there.
I wasn't either. The only guy that...
I wasn't there. I can't give you that. I mean, after there was a while there where I thought there was something going on with what I had experienced. But, it's just like, I can't. I wasn't there.
The only guy that I knew that talks about going back was Daskalos. He talked about going back into the pastime of Jesus and called him Yeshua or Yahshua.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that.
And he said
there's nothing stopping you from doing that.
Yeah, but he said that a lot of the stories were messed up. Even the crucifixion of Christ was kind of not the way we're told it is.
We don't know that.
Yeah. So
I'm not even going to believe Daskalos' freaking version of it.
Right. But what I'm saying is, this is my point, and this is what's frustrating. If we don't know this, why is our damn history based upon all this stuff? Our timeline, like the date we look right now, it's the 28th. For me, it's midnight, 12:45 a.m., 2019, February the 28th. Is based on this guy's story.
The Julian calendar.
Yeah. And so if it's BS, then we're on a BS timeline.
Yeah, but what does it matter?
It just matters to me. I want to know the truth.
What if you're not going to get it, Joe?
And I'm going to be severely pissed off.
Well, then be severely pissed off. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. The people who hold the information are going to hold the information until the end of time, as far as they're concerned. And it's only, I don't know if a lot of people want to say, oh, it's 2019. This is the year of the truth. This is the year that all the secrets come out and everything like that. And I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know that?
You don't know nothing.
Nothing. You don't know that. You don't know that people are going to come. It would be nice. That's a great pipe dream. I mean, I'll cheer you on and I'll drink to it. But you don't know that all of this stuff is going to come out.
We got 306 days left till the end of the world, according to Gene Dixon.
Gene Dixon.
Yeah. We've got 100 days.
Is she still alive?
No, I don't think so. That's unconfirmed, by the way. Of course, it's unconfirmed. We've got end of the world. I'm looking at these end of the world clocks, and they all have these little red stamps that say unconfirmed on them. No, duh. Like, according to Ronald Wineland, this guy's like a serial Armageddon claimant. We've got 100 days and 23 hours until the end of the world. And then the feast.
Where was I reading? You know what was so funny? And speaking on this, exactly on this, I was watching some PBS show the other day, and this guy was doing a forensic study of Nero, the ruler of Rome, right? And how he was supposedly held, accountable for being crazy and burning down the place and everything like that, and taking the Christians and crucifying them and whatever. And one of the things that they came up with forensically for the reason why they actually did burn the Christians back then is because the Christians turned around and they said, oh, yeah, we did it. They turned around and they said it themselves. Actually, at that time, the sect was hell-bent in believing that when the Armageddon comes, they'll live again. And that was their whole it was their whole bent back in the day, that they actually believed in Armageddon and the
resurrection and all that.
The resurrection and all of that stuff, and the bringing up of the dead. Yeah, and so what did he do? Nero, he appeased the people because everybody was going crazy because everybody wanted to hang somebody. You know what I mean? So he said, fine, if you're gonna take the blame for this, you're a bunch of crazy SOBs anyway. We'll stick you in a bunch of baskets and freaking burn you alive. And that's what he did to him.
Man, my dad and my grandfather used to scream at each other over what was it called? Not the resurrection, but not the Passover. What is it? What is it? I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. I don't know why I can't say it. The where Jesus comes down and takes everybody away before Armageddon happens and the end of the world.
Somebody will say it in there. It's blowing my mind right now too.
I don't know why I can't think of the name. It's so stupid because I've heard it a million stupid times.
Of course.
And they would get into big arguments about it. Like,
why?
It says here that there ain't going to be any, I keep thinking Passover. Well, Jesus is going to come back and take them away before all these bad things happen. And so they would get into arguments in the middle of the night about this stuff, man. The rapture. I don't know why in the hell I can't think of this stupid word. All right. So they would fight like for hours on I'm talking about to this day, or if I put them up and I just said, hey, what do y'all think about the rapture? They would end up yelling at each other about this.
But this is why I don't pay attention. I don't listen. I don't hold it all as rote.
So Jesus is going to come down on a white horse and steal you away from all of the bad things that are going to happen. And then the bad things are going to happen to the people that it's supposed to happen to. And it sounds like just a big fat nursery rhyme, man. Like, what happened to the people before Jesus was born? What happens to them? You know?
And right. And it's very separatist. It's very separatist. And it's very, it's not unifying. So if it's not unifying, then is it of the word? I don't think so. Because the word was supposed to be, unifying.
When I was a kid, I remember they started this argument with each other at about 7. It was around 7:30. It was getting dark, and they argued all
until
night.
daylight.
Man, Dad didn't take me home until like after midnight. They both got their Bibles out and their concordances, and they're all yelling at each other over the literal version of the text. And anytime I'd ask a question and be like, "Hey, isn't some of this stuff left out, or that doesn't make sense?" They'd be like, "Shut up, boy, only speak when you're spoken to." Okay. So it didn't make sense to me, and I was 8 or 9 years old, and they would argue over that stuff. And the funny thing is, I really thought at some point in time they were going to get into a fist fight over it. But they never did. And what's really funny is now he doesn't even believe in anything. What he used to argue to the teeth about, it doesn't even believe in anything in the New Testament now, because he found out there's pagan symbolism in it. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
You mean they actually had to use somebody else's stuff so that they could survive?
Yeah. So
get out of here.
Yeah. So he found
they hid underground.
Now, I mean, I love the guy to death because he's a truth seeker, but it's like he's a truth seeker trying to confirm his own truth before he even really looks at it. So now he's went back to the Hebrew style and the Old Testament, and looks at the New Testament as something that's all messed up, doesn't say amen or Jesus or anything, because that goes, he figured out that goes back to the Egyptian gods, and that goes back to the pagan stuff. And I was like, why not embrace that it's a universal teaching, actually, that it's, that this teaching is higher than just the Bible. It's higher than that book you guys are wanting to punch each other over. But that's not happening right now.
It's harder to be open-minded as you get older.
Why?
They say you get set in your ways as you get older. And because it's easier. Because you don't have to think so hard no more.
You just get tired of thinking?
You get tired of thinking.
I think that's what really happens. You get to a certain age, you get tired of thinking and seeking, and you go, okay, all right, this is the story, I'm sticking to it, and, I'll fight you for it. And that's it.
I believe so. I believe that's what happens for many people. But for myself, I've found that trying to stay open-minded has become very difficult.
Why?
I'm not saying that I'm open-minded for everything, but there's definitely areas where, I struggle.
Me too. I mean, I'm in my late 30s, but I'm not open-minded about mumble rap. How can anybody listen to that?
I don't know.
But when it comes to esoteric stuff and trying to find the truth and really seeking that, I'm absolutely open-minded about it, because there's just too much we don't know. Yep. But I am old enough to where I can honestly say that mumble rap is ridiculous. I'll never like it. I mean, you guys heard this stuff, right? It's all, you can go on YouTube and just search mumble rap, and it's literally people going, blah, 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 and they got 10 million hits, and they're billionaires, and they're not even saying anything. We don't have music anymore. It's over with. And I don't care how old I sound.
I'll listen to Hindi music before I listen to that.
Yeah. Mumble rap is what it's called, right? Caught my son listening to that crap the other day, and I almost took his phone away and shot it.
I probably would have.
Like, what is this stuff? And everybody's turning soft. Even the cops are turning soft.
How soft are they?
Well, we don't want you. They're real soft. I mean, we don't want you to murder people, like you have been, but you don't have to get, like in New York, well, it's not really the cops. I think it's the government. Their legislators want to convince the city to switch to a less annoying siren. So all of a sudden so they're going to change. Like, I can't stand the way that siren sounds. So I guess now instead police cars would roll to the sound of the theme song for Law and Order. Wouldn't that be cool? Instead of the siren, if they just came out and was like, boom, 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 yeah. It's just, all of this stuff is happening though, because of social media. So if 1 million people think something's cool or they get behind an idea, then now it's important. It's stupid.
Strange.
I don't want, like, I looked at Facebook today. I told myself the night before last I was done. I'm not going to get on Facebook, but you can't stop people from messaging you. Blink, blink, just messenger going off. And if you don't answer them, well, why are you ignoring me? Like, Jesus Christ, you know, I'm tired of it. There's nothing cool on there anymore. And so I think I'm just going to start doing cat memes from here on out. Show flyers and cat memes.
I say go for it. Why not?
I mean, we got people poking each other online. I was talking about this the
Seriously,
night.
that's still a thing?
Yeah, well, no, not the poke. Like, hey, so-and-so poked you. Yeah, that still is a thing. Do you still get poked?
No, I don't. Not that I know of. I don't think. I haven't been poked in years.
I got that the other day. It's like, Jan from Tarzania poked you. And I'm like, okay, now what am I supposed to do?
All right.
You know, poke him back. I don't even know who you are. Why are you poking me?
I don't even know that where the hell is the thing to poke back?
I don't either. I'm getting, you can tell, like, I need a vacation for real. Just a few days, man. That's all I ask. Just a few days where I can sit in silence and listen to a didgeridoo and just not have to worry about nothing.
That sounds good.
It does. It sounds great.
It does. That or listen to some audible, what do you call those things? Freaking those audible beats? Binaural beats?
Yeah, binaural beats like Hemisync. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I might actually do that. I just don't want to let people down. I was going to take a few days off to deal with family and stuff. I just don't want to let people down, you know. But you're teaching me the ways of the Jedi, Dan, to not worry about everybody so much. Which I'm getting this image of this nice guy, but you know me, man. I'm not a nice guy.
Me neither. I'm an asshole.
I don't know how I got that image, but I'm not really
that's what I got to work on all the time. I'm like, well, let's see. How do I not be an a-hole today?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Because I come across the wrong way all the time. And I got, I think it has to do with being in the corporate world so much. I honestly want to blame it on the corporate world. Because, I mean, even China now they've got companies where they can call in and just say, I'm not coming in today. And they get paid. Now, we don't.
What?
Yeah, there's these employees of a company. Yeah, I think it's in China. Yeah, they get a day off. They can take whenever. They just don't feel like it getting up, and they just say, look, I don't want to come into work today. It's a tourist company. I forget the name of it, but they allow employees to phone in one day a month and just say, look, I don't feel like we're coming to work today, and they get paid for it. Do any of you guys have a job like that? I'm not talking. I'm not talking about to where it counts against your vacation or anything, where they can just call and say, man, I don't want to come in. I don't feel like dealing with any of you today. Thanks. And hang up the phone and they get paid for it. That's great.
I think so.
Plus they get their normal benefits, you know, vacation and stuff. See, but this is the greatest country in the world right now. I mean, that's what bothers me. We got all these. I don't want to get involved. I'm not going to go down this road again. I'm going to get mad right here on the air.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But
we're having too much fun.
Yeah, I know. But we poke people and we wonder why. If we poke them enough, just keep poking them. Why do they get pissed off? And then, oh, look at what they're doing. And then they videotape it. And then it's so stupid. Kind of that.
He got mad at me because I poked them.
And he's leftist, or he's a right wing, or whatever.
Dropping cards.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's time. I think we all should do every now and then just take a break. Even take a break from radio shows. Like you guys that listen to radio every night, take a break from everything and just take at least 72 hours and just go out in nature and listen to a didgeridoo and just sit there and no expectations, nothing. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Think about that.
Absolutely.
We used to do that when we were kids. I don't know how we got involved talking about this after we were talking about Edgar Cayce. We got to get back on subject here. Because I think people were tuning in thinking they were going to learn about all of the mysteries of life in the universe.
Please.
Yeah, well, no.
This is lighting the void, not lighting the universe.
Come on, man. I got to keep them thinking that or they'll stop listening. I've got all the answers, and you're going to get all the answers right after this. We'll be right back.
Oh, you have all the questions.
I've got all the answers to everything. We'll be right back. Whatever you want to know. I'll open the phones up, too, if you want.
Portion of the show is being brought to you by Ed's new microwave home videotape oven. The only microwave oven that lets you tape your TV dinners for playback at a more convenient time.
This is Elle. I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing this journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much for the delightful evening. Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Follow The Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at The Fringe FM. Start your evenings with the Fringe FM long before those other shows get started. Exclusively live on the Fringe FM, hear the Quantum Hologram Matrix with the Reverend John Polk, Tuesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. And our newest show, Sci-Spy Radio with Suzanne Ross, Wednesdays at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Then stay up because we're burning the midnight oil well into the morning hour. The truth is out there, and so are we. Lock it in. The Fringe FM.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. The phone lines are open if you want to vent or call in and tell us how much you love us or tell us the story, whatever. We're just kind of hanging out. It's been like that all week, actually, and we'll get back on track here. But there's nobody better to hang out with than the Reverend Dan Lopez, who's with us tonight. I'm looking in the Fringe FM chat, and Traverse the Universe says, I have the same frustrations and have recently decided that Jesus has made himself known to me personally, and not in a I'm special way, but that's just the way he works. Now, knowing how mucked up his story and everything would get over time, so he just told us, don't worry about anything, I'll be with you to the very end. And he's knocking on all our doors personally, so let him in. And let his peace and rest be yours as well. So, that's probably not a bad idea, you know. But the thing about that is, and I really appreciate that message, by the way. But the thing about that is, well, I don't know. I mean, that's, you know, of all the people that told me that to convert to Christianity and let Jesus in your heart and all that stuff, usually I try to go by example when it comes to things like that instead of words. But that's a pretty decent way to put it, you know, because a lot of people that have Jesus in their life, they say things like my God and this God, and they think that they're special and everybody else isn't. And yeah, I guess I could, you know, it's not a bad way to put it, actually. Mojo says, where do I get some of Ed's products? I need all of them. All right, so we're going to open up an Ed store. I'll get you that videotape of, and we'll put it on the Fringe FM store. But I forgot what I was going to say, Dan. I forgot what I was going to talk about. See what happens when you try to convert me to Christianity? I go blank.
From one of the lists, was it from one of the topics?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forget. It's like someone just tried to convert me. I don't really feel like they were doing that. I just think they were spreading their message. But anytime someone's like, all you gotta do is let Jesus into your heart, it's not that triggered. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I don't go to my happy place. Right. Yeah. See, that's it. That's exactly it. So I totally believe that you're at peace with Jesus and everything. In fact, my grandmother that passed away, I've got a picture of Jesus knocking on the door. It's that nighttime scene where he's knocking. I have that picture in the studio, but I kind of look at it esoterically, not as a way of life. Like I'm going to let Jesus take the wheel type thing. Because I tried that, you know. Well, I don't have to worry about it. I'll let Jesus do it. You know, when you get in that mode to where every time you have a problem, you'll let somebody else do it. What happened to me was I gained a lot of weight and got depressed, and I've realized, okay, if I want to lose weight, I got to get up and do something. Or, you know, if I want this to happen in my life, I have to do it. So, anyways, I'm going to go on a tangent because I don't want Traverse to get mad at me. But at least Traverse isn't trying to convert me. It's just, you know, talking about their own experience, which I think is beautiful. I kind of like the Abraham Hicks version of Jesus too, but doesn't it seem that way, Dan? Like everybody's got their own version of their Jesus and their own way of worshiping the guy.
They should.
Like
for those who follow, for those who seek in that vein, sure.
Doesn't Catalina say that?
Resonate with. If that's what they resonate with, if that's what gives them peace, if that's what, you know, fills them, then absolutely go for it.
Even if Jesus is an alien?
Who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
Right, yeah, I don't care.
That don't sound very convincing. I don't care.
Look, the only time it bothers me is when people try to push it on me. And Traverse, I totally respect you because I know that's not what you're doing.
Yeah.
There was a time, and I mean, just going to say, look, there was a time in my life when I did go to Jesus for everything. And it was back when I was having those anxiety attacks and stuff. What I did learn, though, was the power of the name, and I didn't really understand why. Because certain people could use that name. You could look in books where people would use the name of Jesus and things would happen. And even in the Bible, he talks about, a lot of people used my name, but I never really knew him. Yep. So things started making sense to me. Like, in my life, in my mind, right, this Jesus is just a representation of your higher self that is trying to get in touch with you. So there's like source, and then there's you, and that in-between state in the Kabbalah they call Tifereth, or your holy guardian angel, or Christ-like consciousness, the higher you, there's that connection there. And that's in a lot of mystery schools too. But I don't really call him like Jesus per se, even though the story kind of lines up with it. So just convert to what I believe and you'll be fine. And I'm just playing. I was just trying to be funny. But I don't, there are people out there that kind of try to like date rape you with it. And Ryan came on the show and told us a story about that, how, Ryan always has a problem with making friends. And it's not because he's a hard guy to make friends with. It's just he has a hard time to relate to people. So he finally found these people that he could relate to, and he hung out with them, and they were really cool people, and they talked about a lot of really cool things. And then one night, they said, "Hey, Ryan, there's something I want to talk to you about." And he's like, "Cool," and they pulled him all the way in this back room, set him down, and sat in front of him and said, "Have you found Jesus?" Right. And it just freaked him out. And so I think that there's this whole recruitment thing going on that even some of the mystery schools don't do when it comes to that stuff. But anyways.
Not at that level.
Not at that level, no. You ever hear people say that, though, right? They go, well, the Masons tried to recruit me, or the Rosicrucians tried to, and even in their books, they talk about that they don't go out and recruit people. You seek them out.
They don't. Yeah.
So all these folks, they either met a group of Masons that are not really Masons, or they're just doing stuff all wrong, or they're flat out lying to you. When you hear, and I'll say this with all confidence, when you hear somebody go, yeah, the Masons, they really wanted me, they tried to recruit me, or whatever, they might have said, hi, how are you doing? Yes, we're Masons. Come on by, stop by and check it out sometime. That's not recruiting. So it's BS. Recruiting is when you go up and you say, look, I'm really interested in this stuff. This is how it works. You go up and you say, I'm really interested in this stuff. I'm thinking about becoming a Mason or a Rosicrucian or whatever you're doing, just like you would in a church. I'm thinking about joining. Then they approach you and go, oh, good. Well, here's the process. And that's how it works. That's why they call it free and accepted Masons, because you came to the place at your own free will. Nobody tried to entice you or anything. But it's cool to know that we do have Christians listening to the show, because I've gotten so much feedback from people thinking that I'm out to bash Christianity. And that's not, if that were true, Dan wouldn't even talk to me. I'm not out here to bash anybody.
I'm a recovering Catholic. I don't know what
Catholicism is so beautiful, though. Even though there's a lot of messed up stuff that goes on in the Catholic Church, I am actually very spiritually moved when I go to Catholic churches. And I don't know if it's the scenery and the glass and the music and all of the symbolism and stuff. It just feels really spiritually and heightened to me. But I'm not a Catholic.
It was so funny because I was, Edgar Cayce reads the King James Version, right? So that's where he was based, because he was Baptist and all of that stuff. So I get a lot of people who come up to me and, don't you know that the King James has been doctored and da-da-da-da? I'm like, yeah.
Everything's been doctored.
No. I was like, there isn't a version that hasn't been touched, that hasn't been doctored, that hasn't been twisted in some way, form, or another. It's like, that's all what you do with it. Seriously. You could either make it your, something that gives you peace or gives you strength or gives you, something to ponder upon, or you can, fight against it like you're doing now. It's up to you.
Let me tell you what confuses me about it. You want to know the God's honest truth, no pun intended? What confuses me about it is when you start the book, God created the heavens and the earth and all this stuff, and the earth was without form and void, and God looked upon the face of the deep and said, let there be light. There was light. It's a majestic creation story. It's wonderful. And then as you read on, it's like, okay, he's kind of jealous, then he don't want other people. You don't need to look up to or worship anybody else. And if you do, you're going to get cut down, or you're going to get locust and disease. And then you got to sacrifice lambs and stuff to this God. And then it starts getting a little weird. Like, why am I cutting up animals to worship something? And that to me has always been weird. And why, you're going to get pissed at me and send me to hell if I worship somebody else. Okay, well, that's the Old Testament. And then Jesus comes along.
But it says it in the Old Testament, too. In the Old Testament, it actually says, do you think I really care about what you do with the freaking animals? Do you think that I care that you burn them, that you freaking cook them for me?
Why are they doing it?
I had to test this stuff.
So they got one book about it, and then one book that says I don't like it. So
yeah, that's because he wasn't the God.
Okay, so then what? Is Leviticus not... That's the false God. Then.
What do you think?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It don't make sense. And then you get to the New Testament. Christ comes along and he's like, yeah, that's my dad, but I'm going to tell you a different message. Right. And this message is that I love you, treat everybody the way you want to be treated, and everything will be okay. Until you get to Revelations. Right. And then you hear the story about, well, some of you knew me and some of you didn't. And those that didn't are going to face the second death. And you're like, oh, hell, what's the second death? Well, you really get into studying that is like, that's the total annihilation of you, your consciousness and everything.
I don't even know why they even put Revelations in there, to be honest with you.
So let's throw that one out too. Right. So
I don't know about throwing it out, but that was just according to John Van Ock, who is, a scholar in the Edgar Cayce stuff. Basically, he was saying that it basically is nothing but a huge treatise on symbolism and how your meditative state can pass through all of these phases.
Why don't they just write that? Because I buy that. I can buy that.
Right. Well, because did you ever see Eli, the Book of Eli?
Yeah, that was a good movie. You talking about the movie?
It's a weapon because it's an effing weapon because it's used to control people. And that's why Revelations was put in there out of context.
Yeah, it is a strange book, isn't it?
It doesn't coincide with everything. It really doesn't.
Yeah, anybody can see that it's symbolism. In that book, Jesus calls himself the bright morning star, which is kind of like why Jordan Maxwell did a whole show where he thinks, Jesus and Lucifer are pretty much the same thing. But his idea of Lucifer is not that it's Satan. And even if you read the text, it doesn't really say Lucifer is Satan. And Satan's talked about as they could be, but they never put the two together in the Bible. So I don't know where people get it from, like in the Bible, but
correct.
But yeah, it's a whole bunch of gobbledygook that don't make sense.
Right.
Like I am the true bright morning star. I am the bright morning star. Well, the word Lucifer is, bright morning star. Anyways, we had a whole show about that. And somebody's asking me in the Fringe FM chat, can you talk about the difference between religion and the Bible and their God or creator? Well, to me, there was one verse that Jesus put out that made a whole lot of sense, and I'll never forget it. And I don't know if Jesus said it, but somebody wrote it down and said that Jesus said it, that all scribes and Pharisees are harbingers of hell. And they're the ones that literally create hell on earth. And that's people that write books and laws and stuff and try to enforce them on you. If I understand what a scribe and a Pharisee is together, that's Bible thumping.
Yeah. Well, that's putting themselves between you and creation. That's basically what it is. It's their way. That's what I meant by it's a weapon. It's their way of controlling you to keep you from not being a part of source. So if they could find a way to keep you not a part of source, then they're going to use that. And their way is going to be the way that you need to follow if you're going to meet
right.
your maker. And without them or without their teachings or whatever, then you're a castaway. You're less than
black sheep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Black sheep.
Been there.
So that's why, yeah. Why I say, follow what you feel is right.
You
question everything.
Yeah, there's some, not to say there's not beautiful verses in the Bible, but I just
There's
think
excellent verses in the Bible. They really hit home.
I just think it's just another book. I'm sorry, folks. I think
exactly.
It's just a book.
But it's personal for you and you.
I'm recovering from Christianity. If I had to fit it into a box, I guess I follow the way of the Gnostic Jesus. The last thing I want to do is offend or be seen evangelizing. Yeah, see that? Well, yeah. So to me, you're like
it's
Thomas.
Very personal.
And that's how I feel like if I was to relate to anybody, it would be to Thomas, doubting Thomas, whereas like, look, you guys can say everything you want, I want to feel it, touch it, and see it. And he didn't get smacked on the head or told he was stupid or less than anybody else. As a matter of fact, Thomas got rewarded more than anybody in the book of Thomas, for asking that.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Yes.
Jesus told him some secrets, and we still to this day don't know what those secrets are, because he said, if I was to tell you what he told me, you'd stone me. So this guy got rewarded with knowledge that nobody knew, because he didn't want to take people's word for anything. He wanted to experience it, right? And that's the key. Okay.
Me and Mary had a kid.
Do I?
Me and Mary had a kid.
You and Mary had a kid. Yeah. They had a kid? You really think they had a kid?
You think they wouldn't stone them for that?
I think they could. I think Jesus had a few girlfriends, maybe.
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, back in the day, that was the thing, right? Like, and you have, everybody had this many wives. I don't think Jesus, how can this dude come on the earth and never ever hook up with a girl? I just don't think, I think he did. I think he probably just hooked up with the right one. Maybe they did have a kid. Now, you've been watching the movies, man, with them Tom Hanks movies and stuff. That's that whole theory that they had a kid and didn't tell anybody.
Nah, I just listened to a lot of.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
To a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't
leave
know.
Everything open. Leave everything open. If you leave everything open, then almost anything is possible. So if anything is possible, then you can allow yourself to be opened up later on. So whatever resonates with you, so you can actually say, I always knew.
Yeah, I mean, don't shut yourself off to this Jesus, let's say archetype, if you want to look at it that way. If you're not Christian, you're agnostic, I would say don't shut yourself off to that archetype, because I will tell you this. A while ago we were talking about,
it's repeated.
Yeah, and we were talking about opening up doors and stuff, and you open up these doors and maybe something bad happens, or you end up in a spiritual place, hell, you didn't really want to be there. In fact, you could be in a terrible place. Let's say like sleep paralysis, right? Which is another thing people constantly hit me up about, is sleep paralysis and night terrors. Well, You can use this guy's name. It's a get out of jail free card when it comes to that stuff. But what you should do, in my opinion, is after you call out and use, you can say Jesus. In fact, you could vibrate Yeshua if you wanted to. They both work. And that's worked for me and many others. There's countless articles and people stories about it. But after that, I think it might be important to actually look as to why. Why did that work? Instead of just using it for a tool.
Good luck finding an answer to that one.
But yeah, right. But it doesn't mean, I'm going to convert to Christianity and follow the Bible. It doesn't mean you got to do that either.
Yeah, you got to do none of that.
I think
you ain't got to
books
do none
are
of
books.
that.
That's all they are, man. They're just books. And, even if you go back to, I guess you could say the Hebrew version of Genesis where they talk about the Logos, it wasn't even really the word, it was the Logos, and that's translated from Hebrew to Greek anyways. Yep. I got that thick thing that's got the Greek and Latin and Hebrew versions of everything. I mean, it was the Elohim, a plural form of God, and the Logos. That's not what the King James Version says, so it's all screwed up to begin with. Yep. So it's just a book. It's something for you to study on your journey of seeking. That's all it is. The second you do what a scribe and Pharisee wants you to do is pick it up as ultimate law or ultimate, this is holy, like words on a piece of paper. I think that's when you get into trouble a little bit.
Little bit.
Got to add up. I mean, even the Cat in the Hat had a beginning, middle, end that made sense. So why doesn't this one? And I think maybe that was done on purpose. I think they took a lot of these books out on purpose. This is just my opinion. The Apocrypha, some of the Gnostic
Absolutely.
texts, some of the books of Enoch.
Absolutely.
Why? Well, these books talk about heavenly secrets and powers and stuff that they don't really need to know all that stuff.
Well, also, and according to the Apocrypha, Mary was a big proponent in spreading the word, but Mary was huge in getting everything out there. Mary was the one who got pissed off at all of these guys because they after the crucifixion, all these guys just went up into that tower and just freaking stayed there. She was like, "Are you kidding me?
We can't have that.
What are you doing?
We can't have a woman going around talking about this stuff. God forbid."
Oh,
right?
no, not at the time. Because why? Because patriarchal was the ruling factor. Patriarchal was the ruling factor. Females weren't the ruling factor back then.
Did you ever listen to that clip that I played about that preacher that people got offended and he was like, "Oh, thank God I'm a man. I never took my preaching from a woman. I never listened to a woman at the pulpit. Hey, thank God I'm a man."
I heard that. I heard that. That was bizarre to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, why? I was like, I didn't get that.
Or the one
because back in the days, as a matter of fact, as far as Edgar Cayce was concerned, Atlantis had been around for several hundreds of thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
So for at least one of those hundreds of thousands of years before there was a full takeover, there was all women. All the women were the priestesses.
Oh God, that'd be a lovely place to go. I think things would just be easier. Well, I mean, we already do that anyways.
Well, it was more of a balance. People actually were more ethereal back then than they were physical in the corporal sense. So, but yet, still, if you think about it, they were more balanced in as far as their masculine and their feminine. So you had the sacred feminine and you had the sacred masculine, and then you had them both together. And there was a balance. And so with that balance came harmony, and with that balance came cooperation. What people don't understand is that actually frickin' works.
No, but now, I mean, even like we pretend that men have power, but we all know why they want that power. It's so they can get whatever woman they want.
I don't know about that.
Come on, man. Like, think about it.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know about.
Why do these people want power? Why do you buy the big houses and the cars and everything? And so they can get the super hot model wife. I mean, look at Trump, right? That's why they do. It's not just Trump. I'm not picking on the guy, but that's what guys are taught. That's what they think. And I'm going to do all this stuff. Okay, well, really think about this. Why do you want all this stuff? I know it's fun to have a swimming pool and nice cars and everything, but why do you really want this stuff? If you really start thinking about it, you'll see where the real power is. All right. So if you go back in the day, to me, it'd be just as easy if you had women running the world, priestesses. I think it's much easier, right? Because they come to me and, Joe, did you do your work today? Yes, ma'am. Are you hungry? Yes, ma'am. Well, do this and I'll feed you. Yes, ma'am. Do this. Yes, ma'am. It would be a lot easier for me. I am a yes, ma'am man. I don't have to be in power of anything. I don't know what the hell the big deal is about it.
Better to be happy than to be right.
Yeah, for sure. When you get married, every guy that I've ever known that was happily married, what do they tell you? They tell you the same stuff. Do what you're told when you're told, and you'll be happily married, right? Give up on all the arguments, and just get it over with, right? Most of the guys that got married, they just give up. So there is a power. If we would just balance it back out and just keep a good balance, we wouldn't have all of these guys that are mad at feminists. And I don't think we'd have feminazis either if we just balance it out just a little bit more. Because they both, frankly, scare the hell out of me.
They can. They do.
I mean, I've seen some violent women out there, man, that hate men. Like, literally hate them.
Oh, yeah, that's huge out here. Out in Pennsylvania. It's almost like a crime not to be.
There are certain religions, yeah, so Queen's saying there are certain religions where a man can have up to 7 wives. Well, I want to be the woman that has 7 husbands. Well, yeah, see, so why do we live in a society? I'd be one of them. I wouldn't care. That's just me, though. Like, what if you and I and 3 other dudes had the same wife? Would that bother you? Think about it for a minute. You had say you had everything you wanted. You got a nice house, a swimming pool. You can do whatever you want. You got daily chores and stuff, but you had to share a woman with like all these other dudes.
No, I'm a one-on-one kind of guy.
Yeah. So why is it different in other religions, though, in other societies? Why is it okay to have 7 wives?
I don't care.
He doesn't care. It's a good
I don't.
I get it.
Really don't care. That's not my way. I don't have to agree with it. I
think they do it for bragging rights.
Prescribe to it. You'd think what?
I think they do it for bragging rights. Like they want to say, they want to say it's about their religion and stuff, but really, it's about them saying, well, I have 7 wives. I would love to. I would love to take you to like a true traditional Mormon house where somebody gets to look at, that's my wife, Martha, and that's my wife, so-and-so, and Dan would be like, I just don't care. I don't care.
I won't. I believe in full partnership. I believe in full partnership. I believe in bringing heaven to earth by way of the marriage or the relationship, if it's not a marriage.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't get that.
Well,
I mean, I can understand marriage as a symbol to something else, but not like, trust me, I've been married. That was far from bringing heaven to earth. I was in hell, when I was married.
You were with the wrong person. Or you were with the right person and you just meant to live that out.
Yeah.
But, I'm just saying that for me, I am in full, it doesn't matter whether I live it or not. You know what I mean? It's an ideal. And that's my ideal. My ideal is, to be with somebody who's in full partnership for me. I'm there for them for all of their needs, and they're there for my needs.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. I mean, as long as we're stronger together than we are apart, then what the hell?
As long as they don't talk to their friend Robbie too much, right? That's the thing about it. They're just friends. He's just my friend. I'm not trying to recruit him as another husband. We're just friends. We just talk. That's all we do. You know. I'm just saying it's
because they can't talk to me about it.
Is not.
Yeah, you can't talk to me about it, right? That's because you can't wrestle with your own freaking ego.
I talk to Robbie because he understands me. Like, he gets me and you don't. And we're just friends.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I've been with those too. You know what they call them.
Yeah, we got to take a break. I don't want you to say it over the air. We'll be right back. Be nice.
Is out there.
There's something out here.
And so are we. KTOK Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Who were the real ancient Egyptians? What is it about ancient Egypt that captivates us all? The critically acclaimed series Magical Egypt is back with all new episodes. Let Chance Gardner and company take you on another adventure through Magical Egypt in the new series Magical Egypt 2. Magical Egypt 2 attempts a forensic reconstruction of the science of the ancients through a study of ancient aesthetics. Also, the best researchers and authors in the field like John Anthony West, Graham Hancock, Laird Scranton, Robert Bouval, Lon Maladuquette, Aaron Cheek, and more join together to explore the topics of the esoteric and the hidden messages of the ancient Egyptians. Just go to magicalegypt.com right now and put in the code word FRINGE and get 10% off any download or order, including the groundbreaking original Magical Egypt series, as well as the new episodes in Magical Egypt 2. Also, check out the great work and the companion series at magicalegypt.com. Click the banner on the Fringe FM or go to magicalegypt.com and use the code word FRINGE and get 10% off your order today while it lasts.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hello, this is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on the Fringe FM.
Follow the Fringe FM on Facebook and Twitter at the Fringe FM. Lighting the Void is proud to announce Mind and Magic's Protection and Defense course for protection from magical and psychic attacks. This is not a joke. Magic practitioners are on the rise, and with that comes attacks from baneful or black magicians that try to harm or hurt others for their own selfish reasons. If you are not a believer in psychic attacks, then this isn't for you. If you are, and you want the power to defend yourself and your family and home, then I highly suggest you grab Freighter Xavier's Protection and Defense course. In this course, you will learn how to tell if you are under attack from a natural source or if an individual is attacking you. The 4 forms of curses and attacks. How to remove self-imposed curses. The correct way to cleanse your home from negativity or malevolent entities. How to make your own holy water. What you should always keep near or under your bed. Herbs that banish negativity and promote purity. The most powerful banishing rituals on the planet. And for those that seem to want to harm you the most, how to put your enemies in a hell pit of their own making. You can also learn protection against shadow people and other entities. Or are you just in a bad planetary alignment? Even how to get rid of an enemy using a tic-tac box. It does not matter what your faith or belief is, this will work. Click the banner on the website at lightingthevoid.com or go to lightingthevoid.com/Xavier. Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. You guys missed a hell of a conversation. We kind of took that, but that is kind of funny that you think about it. Like, dudes don't want to that are not mature enough.
Yeah,
they don't want to share. So when they're young and they get in their relationships, they get into that conversation with their girlfriend about, like how many people they've been with, and then they want to know, the girl wants to know how many people they've been with. And what's funny is the girl always lies by like half, because that's if you get the dude to say it first. So in my mind, you're all sharing anyways, right? That's the way I looked at it when I was
tell them that you're not.
That's the way I looked at
it.
When
we
you were
proved
younger.
that we probably are. If you're in bed and she's screaming and she's not screaming your name,
then you
you're
got a problem.
definitely sharing.
But I think I remember my girlfriend when I was like 20 years old. I remember having that conversation. This is not a conversation you need to have with somebody you're dating, by the way, but it always comes up. Like when you're young and you get involved with people, then you want to know who they've been with and all this other stuff. And then, like if you're a dude and you're not that experienced and you're like, okay, I'm going to be honest. I've slept with 10, 11 people or whatever. And then the girl just goes quiet after that. That's when you got a problem. And they're lying by at least half. All right. So that's what
it's not a problem yet.
That's what we were talking about. But no, see, I think what happens is the truth of it is you got this animal thing inside of you. So and this is taught in mystery schools too. You got the nefesh, you got this animal side of you that's kind of poly, it's just like any other animal, but you're different. You have to understand than the animal. So you also have this right side of you, the right side of the brain, the soul, the artistic, the creator, that's more divine than kind of a level up than all the other things out there. And so, I'm just teasing you, Dan. Like I totally believe in a monogamous relationship when you're ready for something like that. But the problem is you got to really be ready for something like that, which I had to learn through hardship, but the problem, a lot of people had to learn that through hardship, I think. The real problem is the first stages of attraction, and it's a mess, because women are attracted to what they don't want, kind of. They want a nice guy that'll treat them right and all this other stuff, but they're attracted to something totally different. They're attracted to a guy that has personal authority, that's kind of bad boyish, to a certain extremes. And then they wonder why they end up with all these assholes in high school and stuff. And then they have to sift through all of these assholes till they find a guy that, takes care of himself. He's a little bit decent. He has personal authority. He's got a bit of a bad boy side, but he's not a complete idiot. So the women have to sift through dudes to get to that point. Men, on the other hand, it's the same thing. They want a nice girl, treat them right and all this stuff, but they want a bad girl in other ways. So it's a conflict. So there's no point in getting all pissed off about, your relationships and your heartaches and all the stuff you've been through, because it's a process. I think you're supposed to go through all this stuff until you find the right person. Love it's worth it. It's worth the heartache, if you ask me. But I'm just joking. I don't believe in the sharing. But there are people that do it. Yes. And they believe it.
Of course.
Just don't have the conversation. Just do me a favor. If you're young and you're listening to the show and you really want to know, you really want to ask your girlfriend and you want to have that conversation, you want to compare notes or how many people you've been with, don't do it. Don't go down that road. Just wipe away the past and go from where you're at, because you're going to get in trouble. Dan will tell you. You've had experience with that, haven't you?
When I was young, yeah, I did. I went down that way. I don't know what the hell possessed me to do it, but yeah, I told you I was an a-hole. Or I'm still an a-hole. I'm just trying not to be.
Yeah. You can't really lock young women down anyways. My father married my mother. I think she was 17 and my dad was 26. I can't imagine doing that. I mean, I guess that was okay in the 70s or something, man. But to me, that's not really yuck, And then I get these stories of growing up like, yeah, no, your mother left me and blah, and I bought her a car. I'm like, if she was a kid, you try to put her in a box and, you know, marry her and put that ring on her and hold her and keep her still, and she can't go anywhere. She's 17, man. Not to mention she was born to be wild. That's where I get my wild side from, is my mother.
There you go.
But, you know, my father, he just kind of gave up because he got soured after all this stuff. I don't understand this and that, and it just don't make any sense. And women, they're just going to come around and, you know, until they find something better, and they're going to leave you and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, Jesus, here we go again. They're just going to stick around till they find somebody better. That's the way it works. That's a sad life to live, isn't it?
Yep.
That's a sad way of thinking about things, man. And a lot of us, I think I've actually talked to some people that I can kind of tell they feel that way. You know, I think it's cool if it's more respectful if you're going to leave a person to, you know, not cheat on them before you leave. But if you found somebody better or whatever, I think it's, you know, there's a respect level there, but it doesn't mean everybody's that way.
Love is messy.
What do you say?
Love is messy. Love is messy. Relationships are messy. You either go through them or you choose not to. It's up to you. You just, you know, consider at some point you're going to get hurt, and that's it. If you can handle the hurt, you'll be fine.
A lot of people
can't handle the hurt. A lot of people can't handle the hurt.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people's pain comes from that. Obvious. And just it's too obvious to me.
I think there's a level of maturity that people have to go through, period, with the heartache. It's just, I was going to say, rite of passage. But it seems to be like a rite of passage. It is. It really is. Because you don't hurt as much the second time.
And then the third time it doesn't sting. Yeah, right.
And by the third time, you're like, screw it.
Yeah, for real. It don't sting anymore.
Not like the first time.
No. So I think my son's kind of going through that right now. He's like super depressed, you know.
Because I've had times even with this last one that I was with, man, we were early on, and this is like 2012, 13. I've had times where I felt exactly like I felt like when I had the heart failure. Forget about it. I felt like the wind got knocked out of me.
Right.
And it was nothing. For nothing.
Well, you got to look at, I think you got to look at it like this. It's just like life, right? You're going to, in any relationship that you're in, you're going to lose that. One of you is going to lose the other. Even if you're together, let's say it's a miracle story and you're together from childhood all the way to the end of your life. The truth is that one of you is going to go before the other one does. So you're always, no matter what relationship you're in, no matter how long you're in it, somebody's going to feel the loss of the other one. So that,
there's that.
That ought to tell you.
But in the meantime, the time in between, I think it's all work.
But that ought to tell you that it's just an experience.
Yeah.
It's just an experience. So if you're afraid of the pain, yeah, don't do it. But I'm just saying, a lot of times it's worth it.
If you're going to get involved with your best friend. Just make sure they're not married.
I can't do that. My best friend's my cat. I know I'm driving you crazy, aren't I?
Well, if you were Indian.
I can't do that. I'm a cat. I'm like an old cat lady, except I'm not a lady.
They have very weird things. You see these things that's going on lately with these people freaking marrying robots and all kinds of stuff now?
Yep. I saw that the other day.
What's going on?
Yeah, they
like, God, kidding me.
Martha,
and wasn't even a good-looking robot.
She's so perfect for me. I've never had a partner like her before. She gets me. She understands me. She doesn't talk.
And it's one of those freaking anime character things too. That's huge on the rise out there too. I don't understand that. I was like, there's so many women out there. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Anyway.
Wait a minute. They could dress them up like anime characters?
They have them as, like the Living Dolls. Remember the Living Dolls when that was big?
Listen, how the hell did we get on the subject?
Love. Love is messy.
We were talking about love? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no expert on this stuff.
Being hurt and marriage. Oh, we were talking about marriage. Marry your best friend, and you said you can't because yours is your cat.
Okay.
So I switched it from cats to robots because I thought it made more sense.
I always thought, in esoteric sense, I always thought that the marriage supper, like the bridegroom and all that stuff that they talked about, was just symbolic. I'd never looked at it as, a marriage between a man and a woman on earth, and that's how you get to heaven. Never looked at it that way. So I'm interested in your thoughts.
I wasn't saying, oh, no. No, that wasn't my meaning. Not that to bring heaven to earth, that statement. That was a statement that was given by Edgar Cayce and stuff. It was an ideal, that your partnership should bring about, heaven on earth, where, anybody would feel welcome in the presence of both of you.
Yeah.
And would feel like, they would feel home. They would feel, right. They would feel good. They would feel whole, like a safe harbor.
That's interesting. So there's some esoteric stuff to it, actually.
Absolutely. That's why I said it was too. That's why too I said it was work. You got to work to do that kind of stuff. You can't just bring about that kind of. You can't bring about that kind of feeling to another without having that capacity. Because if you're not empathetic to somebody else's state of being, then you'll never be able to carry somebody to another state, to another place, to another state of mind. Because if they're in a bad place and you're just by being there, people they expect too much sometimes, but a lot of people feel fine if there's somebody just sitting right next to them. They don't have to say anything, but it just eases their pain knowing that there's somebody else there.
Man, I wish you'd have told me that a long time ago, because I feel like some of these girls pressure, they always want something, Like they're always pushing the relationship thing. Maybe they just want to hang out and just be with somebody, I get that.
Well, you don't know. I mean, our communication skills are not what they, what they could be. So, but, and then the whole love dynamic is a completely, what do you call them? Hogswoggle. It's terrible. It is. It's terrible. It's like a dysfunction city. So people don't understand how to communicate and how to process things, and not take everything to heart and whatnot. So get all offensive and defensive and whatever. And look, they're just telling you where they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean,
be there for them.
I got this damn friend that talks to me about dating girls all the time, and I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're attracted to, what do you just tell me what you're attracted to about girls? Like, just tell me. And, you tell me, like, okay, be the opposite of that, because the only thing I can do is understand the polarity factor. Like,
okay.
That's the only thing that works. To me, it works. When I look at people that are in relationships, it works.
You know why too? Because that's correct. That's because that's the dysfunction level that you have in your environment. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, It's just the way it is. That's the environment that you're in.
Well, no, what I mean is like
vast environment that people are like that.
No. That's not what I mean. What I mean is like, So this dude is really nice to girls, and he's really sweet to them, and
he's the best friend.
He's kind of smothery a little bit, you know. And I said, look, man, you know, what attracts you? And let's just look at this at an esoteric sense, like what attracts you to women? Well, you know, they're soft, and like it took me a while to get him to get into that stuff, how they look and everything. And I said, okay, women are attracted to the opposite of that, right? The opposite. So don't be the woman in the relationship. Try to be the man, no matter. And damn sure don't make her your mother, because you're going to get in trouble. You know,
right.
Well, I don't know. Like all she wants to, I just want to do whatever she wants to do. Like, don't say that.
Yeah, have a mind.
You know, don't say that to her, man. Just go up to her and be
seriously, have a mind, have an opinion.
This is what I want to do tonight. Let's have a steak and a beer. Does that sound good to you? You know,
hobby.
Don't do that. Well, whatever you want to do. What do you want to eat? What do you want to do? Well, man, just make the damn decision, and then afterwards ask if it sounds good to him, or don't even ask, you know, and see what happens. I don't know. But with all this transgender stuff going on, it's all confusing now. I don't get none of it.
Never mind. Don't even go into there.
I don't know what the hell's going on anymore. And mumble rap, you know. Skinny jeans, and like the dudes are dressing up like girls. Anyways, we got to get out of here, man. I'm starting to sound like my dad. I don't want to be that off. You know, I'm sure there's... And I damn sure don't want to do a show about skinny jeans. Nobody's listening for that.
No.
I'm pretty sure we ran everybody off anyways.
Pissed me off. It was for a while there, you couldn't get away from him. You couldn't even find anything that wasn't cut in skinny jean. I was like, who the hell wears these goddamn things? You can't find them. I was like, yes, we can. You just look for the relaxed fit, you know, skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans, wear your hair long, and you know, it just I don't understand how women are attracted to that. I just don't. But I only understand polar things. I'm polar minded, I guess, when it comes to that stuff.
Okay.
But anyways, I have no idea what we're gonna do tomorrow night. To be honest with you, I pretty much canceled the shows
have a great show
for all the weeks. I'm just being honest with you guys because of what's going on with my family. I'm not gonna lie to you. All right.
Oh yeah.
So. I mean, if you want normalcy with Lighting the Void, it's probably going to start next week. But we'll probably be back tomorrow night if everything works out. And I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If you're listening in, you can keep listening because the Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable's coming on next. And don't forget that this show was produced by the Fringe FM and can't be syndicated without written permission. And all of the music played was by Chronox, Bundy, Kevin MacLeod, Space Station. Some of the music was from the public domain. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Good night.
On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised. We told you weeknights on the Fringe FM are now even better, and we mean it.
Do it live!
Where else can you hear the best shows and the best talent? Kick off your evening with our newest host, Alex Exum, live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. Hang out with me, Joe Roop, on Lighting the Void at 9 Pacific, midnight Eastern. Ryan Gable expands your mind on the Secret Teachings at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern. We're bringing the heat every single night. Fire it up, the Fringe FM.
Yahoy there. This is Gigi from Shift Happens. And holy shit, you're listening to KTLK, The Fringe FM. Hey, don't you dare take that stuff.
difference when you're on a spree. Over the teeth behind the gums, look out stomach, here she comes. I have another drink on me. Gurgle, 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 gurgle. Gurgle, 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 gurgle.
Sounds like one of them pinko fairy literals to me.
Doesn't even pop a nickel now.